Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto has Uzumaki 9 genkai. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Natsu123 and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1, Naruto of the 9 Branches. Minato Namikaze, by many revered as the greatest of Hokages, had felt many different sort of emotions during his life, the emptiness and coldness of the war. Pride he became the 4th Hokage, the love he felt for his wife Kushina, sadness when Obito died. But never before he felt so helplessly and full of despair when he looked down on his beloved Konoha as the strongest of the Biju was rampaging throughout it. The Biju was the Kyuubi, strongest of the Biju. Unlike any of its other brethren, the Kyuubi didn't resemble an animal but rather a tree. Its upper body was human-like with long wooden arms, and on its shoulder and top of its head grew trees. The Kyuubi's face also resembled that of a man but with a wooden structure and a beard. The lower body of the Kyuubi was just like that of a tree with 9 branches that the Kyuubi used to move around. The form the Kyuubi had taken and the destruction it was causing puzzled Minato. According to Kushina, the Kyuubi resembled a large tree, not this form, and it was most certainly not aggressive. The opposite. In fact, Kushina had mentioned that in their time together the Kyuubi seldom had spoken, preferring to stand still as a tree and listening to what the red-haired woman told it. The blonde man suddenly looked behind him as something moved in the bushes. From it a shinobi appeared. It was Murakumo Kurama, the head of the Kurama clan, an old friend of Minato. The two men had both been students of Jiraiya of the Sannin. Murakumo? Minato called out. Have you placed the genjutsu? The other man nodded. Yes, I have done it. Even the third shouldn't be able to see throughout it. But why, Minato? Why in Kami's name would you request such a thing? Why would you let everyone think the Kyuubi is a giant fox, when it is supposed to be this tree monster? Minato sighed darkly. That, my old friend, is Konoha's greatest darkness, one that leads back to the founders themselves. I will tell you the story another time, so please keep the genjutsu up. Murakumo closed his eyes and thought for a few seconds, and then looked back at Minato. Very well, I trust you, Minato. I will keep up the genjutsu, but it will not hold for a long time. 20 minutes is the longest I can give you without endangering myself. Minato began steadying his breath for the upcoming confrontation with the demon. Just when he was about to teleport to the village itself, a small cough was heard. Minato's head snapped to the right. The masked man that had threatened Kushina and his newborn son only minutes ago. Please, Yondaime Hokage, tell me that story. I am quite curious about it as well. The man requested with a threatening voice. Minato glared at him darkly. Very well, as you probably will keep preventing me from dealing with the Kyuubi until I have told you. Meanwhile, in the village itself, the ninja of Konoha were fighting against an opponent they couldn't even damage. The brave man and woman quickly began to fall into despair. At this rate, Konoha will be destroyed. One shinobi with brown hair yelled out desperately. Many of his fellow shinobi dropped to their knees, unable to keep standing anymore in the face of the Biju. Don't be so quick to give up. The voice of an old man sounded. The ninja looked up. Sarutobi-sama! He exclaimed. Hiruzen Sarutobi, the previous Hokage, a man once so powerful that he was dubbed the third god of shinobi, had arrived at the battlefield. Following him were several ANBU ninja. We cannot shy away. No matter who our opponent is, or how powerful he is. We are shinobi of Konoha and we have to protect our village and its citizens. Sarutobi's words gave the other ninja the courage to stand up again, to face their foe. Let's go. It is time to drive that thing out of village. The old man and his ANBU jumped towards the rooftops and looked at the giant fox. I cannot allow it to destroy Konoha, were the thoughts of Sarutobi when he slammed his hands on the ground. Summoning no jutsu. Monkey King Enma, Sarutobi's old friend and fighting partner, arrived on the battlefield. The Monkey King snorted. What sort of trouble have you gotten yourself now, Hiruzen? You started a fight with the 9 tails? Hiruzen shook his head. No, it went on a rampage. I need your help to stop it, my old friend. Enma sighed and transformed itself into the adamantine staff, ready to fight against the Kyuubi, who at that point noticed Sarutobi and let out a deafening roar that blew away rubble from destroyed buildings. Sarutobi was forced to jump to another building to dodge it. Sarutobi jumped to a building closer to the Kyuubi and Enma grew to epic proportions, allowing Sarutobi to hit the beast from distance. The gigantic fox became furious at this and spewed a beam of reed-compressed energy towards the previous Hokage, who barely had time to get out of the way. This was repeated a few times while other Konoha shinobi fired all sort of jutsu at the Kyuubi. However, their attacks only seemed to hurt the Kyuubi a little. Suddenly one of the ANBU landed beside Sarutobi. Sir! Choza Akimichi has arrived. Sarutobi nodded and ran over the rooftops towards Choza. Choza tried to hold the Kyuubi off. The old man ordered the head of the Akimichi clan. Choza nodded. Super Expansion's jutsu. Choza grew to a size that rivaled the demon itself and began fighting with it. The clan head used his increased strength to lift the Kyuubi and throw it away. This didn't hinder the fox much as it got quickly on its feet again, and threw itself at Choza, starting a fight in which the Biju quickly overpowered the Akimichi clan head. The beast grabbed Choza's arms and flung him out of the city into the forest, where Choza returned to his original size and lost consciousness. Sarutobi cursed and grabbed the Fuma Shuriken from a fallen shinobi. Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Using the shadow clone technique, Sarutobi created at least 1,000 clones or the Fuma Shuriken and send them flying towards the Kyubi, which had begun to walk towards where it had thrown Choza. This gained the fox's attention as it turned back to Sarutobi with a roar in pain. Sir, the Inuzuka clan has arrived to fight. The ANBU member informed Hiruzen before using a Doton Jutsu against the Yanbi. Use a synchronized attack. Sarutobi ordered the clan that used their dogs for their ninja techniques. The 6 members of the clan that had arrived shouted eagerly, "Yes, sir! Show that demon the power of the Inuzuka clan." The clan head ordered his clan members, as they approached the Kyubi Gitsuga. Working together, the clan formed one large drill-like vortex that hit the Yanbi fully. The mighty beast roared in pain when the jutsu hit, and it was forced several meters back. In its anger, the Kyubi flung at the Inuzuka members. Most of them were able to dodge, but one of them was hit. She and her dog flew into the roof of a nearby building. Sarutobi recognized her as the wife of the clan head. The Kyubi looked at her and readied itself to spew its beam of compressed energy again. Some only could look in horror as the demon was about to kill her, when her husband landed beside her. His own dog had been hit by the Kyubi and was dead, for its body had hit the ground. "Kuramaru, take some out of here," he ordered his wife dog. Kuramaru barked and lifted some on his back. The clan head looked sadly at his wife before facing the Kyubi. "Ugly beast. Over here," he shouted while throwing a kunai with an explosive tag attached to it with great accuracy at the Kyubi's eyes. The kunai hit its left eye and the tag caused a huge explosion. The Kyubi yelped in pain as its left eye was injured and focused its attention on the Inuzuka clan head. "Goodbye, Tsum, Hana, Kiba, I love all you, until next time." The Kyubi fired a volley of compressed energy beams at the building the man was standing on, causing a huge explosion. "Sir, a message from Shikaka Narahi and the other shinobi are ready for our combined assault." Sarutobi nodded tiredly. "Give them the orders to start at my signal." Most people know that the first Hokage was and probably still is the strongest ninja to have ever lived, only rivaled by the Sage of the Six Paths. Minato started his story. What is also known is that Hashirama Senju is the only one who has ever obtained the Mokuton Kekkai Genkai. This, however, is not entirely true, as both Mito Uzumaki and my own wife Kushina Uzumaki also possessed this bloodline. Why didn't you tell anyone about this?" Murakumo questioned his friend, but Minato raised his hand. "Let me continue, please. The reason behind this, well, the reason is that all 3 of them were the Jinchuruki of the Kyubi. After the fight with Madara, Uchiha Mito Uzumaki sealed the Kyubi inside her husband, thus giving him his Mokuton, would release Kekkai Genkai, the power of the 9-tailed demon tree. At the time of Hashirama's death, Mito sealed the Kyubi inside herself and later into Kushina. The first Hokage and his wife decided to keep the true identity and the source of Hashirama's Mokuton a secret, to protect the future Jinchuruki of the Kyubi. The rumor was spread that the Kyubi was a giant fox, and the giant tree that some people had seen in during the fight between Madara and Hashirama was one of the first jutsu. The true identity of the Kyubi was only revealed to the next Jinchuruki by the former Jinchuruki around the time of the former Jinchuruki's death. I see, that was unexpected. I was informed that the Kyubi was fox, but I find out that instead it is a giant tree that grants its container the Mokuton Kekkai Genkai. The masked man almost whispered to himself. "To think that you would keep such secrets from your own village." Minato sent the masked man a dark glare. What would happen if any of the other villagers or Konoha itself would find about the Kyubi? A new great ninja war would be upon us, all to obtain the power of the Mokuton. Konoha would be destroyed, by its own residents or other villages. The masked man moved into a battle stance. "It does not matter right now, all is going according to my plan, and such minor drawbacks doesn't change anything. After all, my Eye of the Moon plan must be completed." Minato looked the masked man in the eyes. "A Sharingan. So that is how he controls the Kyubi." "Murakumo. He keeps the Kyubi under control with his Sharingan. Break it while I fight him," Minato ordered as he engaged the masked man. Murakumo took a deep breath and began to dispel the genjutsu that the masked man has cast over the Kyubi, without dispelling his own. Had Murakumo been from another clan, he would deem it impossible. However, he was the head of the Kurama clan, the best genjutsu users in the Land of Fire. Hiruzen cursed when the Kyubi's attack nearly hit him. "Shikaka, are you ready yet?" he yelled desperately at the Jonin commander. "We are, commence operation," Shikaka ordered. He and many others of the Nara clan formed their signature hand seals Kageme no Jutsu. Using the technique together, the Nara clan was able to restrict the Kyubi from moving. Meanwhile, at the ground level of the village, almost its entire shinobi force had gathered together under the orders of Noichi Yamanaka. Using his jutsu to contact all of shinobi gathered at the same time, the head of the Yamanaka clan. "Sarutobi-sama, at your orders we are ready to begin." Sarutobi took a deep breath before giving to orders. "Everyone give the best you have, all of us together at the same time." Giving the ninja a moment to ready themselves. "Now attack!" The previous Hokage ordered with his loud voice. Sarutobi took out a kunai with an explosive tag attached to it. By using his Shadow Shuriken technique again, he created an enormous volley of explosive kunai that all hit the Kyubi, this in combination of at least 100 other jutsu. Shuriken and kunai dealt even the Kyubi a lot of damage. The giant fox yelped in pain and fell to the ground. "Is it over?" Sarutobi wondered, not letting his guard down for a moment. The Kyuubi suddenly opened its eyes and got back on its feet. Its roar was even more terrifying than before. How can something be this strong? A Chunin yelled in fear. Fear and despair once more filled the shinobi ranks. Suddenly Minato's voice filled the battlefield. Summoning no jutsu, food cart destroyer. From the sky the boss summon of the toads landed on top of the Kyuubi, pinning it on the ground. Hurry Minato, I won't be able to hold it down for too long. The giant toad grumbled loudly while he was struggling to keep the Kyuubi down. Sarutobi looked at Minato as he began formed a familiar hand seal. In the few seconds that Minato prepared to teleport the Kyuubi with him, Sarutobi made his decision and jumped on top of the Kyuubi besides Minato. Before anyone could react, the Kyuubi and the two Hokage had disappeared in a flash. It was not long after that when several other shinobi had arrived at the location Minato had teleported himself, the Kyuubi and Sarutobi. Shikaku, who was leading them, found Minato hugging his wife who was holding their son, nor far from them lay the unconscious Marukumo. Hokage-sama? Where is Sarutobi-sama? He did go with you, right? The Jonin commander asked the village leader. Minato pointed a little farther away. Sarutobi-sama sacrificed himself to seal the Kyuubi in Naruto. Shikaku frowned and sighed. Troublesome. Suddenly little Naruto began crying loudly. His little tears dropped on the ground. Kushina quickly began comfort her newborn. A few minutes after, everyone had left. Small trees began to grow from the spot Naruto's tears had dropped on the ground. Chapter 2, Graduation Arc, Konoha's Newest Leaves, a Tragic Graduation. It was quite early in the morning, the sun was barely visible yet. However, Naruto Namikaze was already wide awake. The only child of the village's Hokage was currently in the garden behind the house, tending to the many flowers and other plants. Despite that fact that his father had forbidden it, Naruto was using his unique power to let the plants grow by feeding them his chakra. The young boy sighed as he saw how the flowers turned slowly to face him. I do not understand why Dad forbids me to use this power to grow plants. I do not see any harm into it. It just makes the flowers more beautiful and that makes Mom more happy. The blonde looked at the window of his parents' room. Using his senses, Naruto could tell that his mother was peacefully asleep, while his father had already left for the office. Naruto frowned. I wish Dad would spend more time with Mom and me. Whatever happened during the night of my birth, Dad is determined to get revenge. Ever since a young age, Naruto had discovered that he had the ability to sense the chakra and emotions of other people, an ability that was still growing. His current sensing limit was 2 miles. This was true ever since that fateful night on the 10th of October. Minato had become driven to find the culprit. In time this drive turned to hate, and maybe even slowly into an obsession. Minato began to spend less time with his family and friends. Even his old student Kakashi barely had any contact with his sensei outside of work anymore. This had left Naruto and Kushina just with each other. Fortunately, many of the family friends helped the two of them. Naruto shook his head and looked around the garden. Seeing that his work was finished, he silently crept back inside the house and sneaked towards his room. As Naruto had closed his door and turned on the light, he turned towards his mirror. Before him stood a young boy, with blonde hair similar to his father. However, that was about as far as Naruto's likeness with his father goes. He had inherited his mother's pale skin tone and purple-colored eyes. Even his facial build was more like hers. Naruto sensed around the house again, and found that his mother had woken up. Mom is sad that Dad left without saying anything again. As soon as Naruto had dressed himself, he went downstairs. As usually, he wore a short-sleeved dark blue shirt with the uzumaki symbol on his back. His arms and hands were warped in bandages. His pants were dark gray, and at his feet Naruto wore a pair of black sandals. When he entered the kitchen, Naruto saw his mother already stumbling around to make breakfast for the two of them. Just as she was about to lose her balance, Naruto caught her and guided his mom to a chair. Careful, Mom, just let me take care of the breakfast, Naruto said softly. Kushina smiled softly and waited for her son to finish making breakfast. The events of that certain evening had left the beautiful woman partly crippled and had forced Kushina to quit her ninja career. As she looked at her son, Kushina felt extremely proud. Naruto was a prodigy just like his father had been, but what made her even more proud was the fact that her son had remained so humble about it. Naruto never bragged about his gifts, and was always happy to help his classmates to improve themselves. Naruto placed the traditionally uzumaki breakfast on the table. Ramen. Mother and son happily began ravaging their respective cups. Kushina paused after her third cup. Naruto dear, are you ready for your exams? Naruto slurped a little before he answered. Yes, I think I should be able to pass quite easily. I am however more worried about some of my other classmates. Kushina smiled at her son's worries for others. I'm sure they will be alright, Naruto. You tried to help all of them. Kushina attempted to get up. Naruto saw his mother struggle and assisted her to stand up. Easy, Mom, I will help you to the couch. I am sure the worker will arrive soon to assist you with everything. Naruto walked his mother to the couch and gently helped her sit down. Well, I am off to the academy. Try not to make too much of a mess while I am away. Naruto winked as he grabbed his bag. Yes, father. Kushina teased as Naruto left throughout the window. Before Naruto entered his classroom, he did a check upon his classmates' emotions, to make sure they were alright. As usual, most of the clan heirs are relaxed, while most civilians are worried. Kiba Inuzuka was shouting at someone while his loyal dog was sitting on his head. Shino Aburama was reading a book, and Hinata Hyuga, who was staring at Kiba while blushing. MMH, it seems Hinata has developed a little crush for Kiba, or she feels a great deal of admiration for him, or she is angry at him. It is hard to tell with Hyugas, they always become red. A seat lower than Hinata sat Choiji Kimichi, a rather plump boy who was talking to the lazy Shikamaru Naro and Ino Yamanaka. When Naruto stepped inside the classroom, he immediately felt a falling upon him. Naruto mentally sighed. Sasuke Uchiha, as always looking for a fight. Naruto had first met the heir of the Uchiha clan, when Minato had taken Naruto with him when he visited the Uchiha clan to see how they did after Itachi Uchiha, Sasuke's older brother, had killed the leaders of the Uchiha clan with exception of his mother. Sadly, as the leaders also had been the top ninja of the clan, this had led to much disgrace. While Minato had talked to Sasuke's mother Mikoto, Naruto had begun to wander around a bit trying to learn more about this new location. Outside he had found Sasuke, who was training himself. The young Uchiha thought that Naruto was an intruder, and had challenged him to a fight. Naruto had beaten Sasuke soundly. Afterwards Sasuke had begun to spite Naruto. The arrogant boy was unable to comprehend that there was someone better than him. On the other hand, almost everyone else in the classroom greeted and waved at Naruto as he entered. Naruto waved back before sitting down at an empty spot, somewhere in the back of the classroom. In his head Naruto began mentally classifying his classmates, or more specific the clan heirs, when his senses began tingling in warning. The blonde boy looked up so see why his senses went off, when he noticed that Sakura Marino had entered the classroom. Sakura Marino, adopted daughter of Ibiki Marino, head of the torture and interrogation force. Underneath her sweet facade, lay a sadistic persona that enjoyed to torture others, either physically or mentally. Classified as dangerous and potential threat. Naruto silently observed as the pink-haired girl began to subtly worrying her classmates, by telling rumors she had heard about the horrors of the exams. At that point Iruka entered the classroom. Iruka was a man of average height and build. He had brown hair that he keeps in a ponytail, and a scar that runs across the bridge of his nose. Iruka was without doubt Naruto's favorite teacher. The scarred Chunin had replaced Minato as Naruto's father figure. Iruka was more than just a teacher, he was one of Naruto's best friends and like Yamato an older brother-like figure. Alright, class, settled down, but most of the students either didn't hear him, or ignored the scarred Chunin. Be quiet, Iruka yelled using his big head jutsu. As soon as the class had calmed down Iruka continued. As you all know, today is the day of the graduation exam. You've all been training hard the past few years. Now it is your time to show us what you have learned to prove you can become a genin of Konoha. Iruka informed the class, while looking over them. None of the students said a word, which was a rare sight. Everyone in the classroom knew the importance of the day. They listened to everything Iruka said to make sure they knew everything they needed to graduate. Your test is divided into 3 parts. The first test is a written exam based on information you have been taught over the years in the academy. The second part is a test on your accuracy and skill with weapons. The final part is a test on the required jutsu. You must be able to perform all 3 jutsu perfectly in order to pass that part of the test and graduate. The scarred Chunin explained. We shall begin with the written exam now. During the test I want absolute silence. Iruka spoke up again as he started to hand out papers to students. As soon Iruka had given the signal to start, Naruto began reading over his test. Part 1. History. 1. Name the Hokages in order from 1st to 4th. 2. Why is the first Hokage also known as the god of shinobi? 3. Name 2 villages that are allies of Konoha. 4. Why was Orochimaru of the Sannin exiled from Konoha? 5. Which 2 clans formed an alliance to create Konoha? 6. Who did Konoha fight during the Third Shinobi World War? 7. Name the Sannin. 8. Naruto answered these questions with ease. This is a bit too easy for many of our class. I actually had suspected the questions to be more difficult. The blonde boy thought as he read the second paper. Part 2. Ninjutsu. 1. What are the 5 chakra natures? 2. Write down 1 jutsu for A. Earth nature, B. Water nature, C. Fire nature, D. Wind nature, E. Lightning nature. 3. When Naruto finished his test, he discovered that he still had more than half an hour until the test ended. He began checking upon his classmates. Many are feeling down and worried. I guess I should support them a little. Naruto began spreading his calming chakra throughout the classroom. This visibly let his classmates relax. However, doing so earned him a glare from both Sasuke and Sakura. Sasuke would claim I tried to distract him from his test, and Sakura just enjoys the panicizing and stressful air that hung in the classroom more. The second part of the exams went also easy for Naruto as he earned a perfect score by hitting the marks with all of his kunai and shuriken. Sakura did very well in comparison to some of the other girls from the class. Only Ino and Hinata did better. The latter had an almost perfect score but had missed 1 kunai when she got distracted when Kiba cheered her on. The lazy Shikamaru did as he always did, scoring just high enough to pass. And lastly it was Sasuke's turn. The black-haired boy concentrated and hit the marks with all of his kunai and shuriken, scoring a perfect mark. This earned him a loud applause from almost everyone. And now it is time for the third and final test. Iruka said, standing in front of the class. Please follow the instructor when he calls your name. After you finish, whether you pass or fail, you will be asked to leave the building. You can wait for friends outside if you want to. First up, Shino Abirame. Naruto watched as Shino headed out the room without a sound and followed Iruka. So far everything went well, but if one messes up the final test he or she can fail the whole exam. I must make sure I don't make any mistake. Chuji Akimichi. The instructor called, a few minutes later, out to the boy, who quickly ate the rest of his chips and walked after the instructor. As expected of Shino, he did pass very fast. It took a little longer in comparison to the Abirame air, but the instructor eventually came back and called out the next name. Names continued to be said. More and more students continued to head on out of the room. A certain tension and nervous feeling seemed to grow in the room with each student that left. Naruto let out his calming chakra to calm the other but also himself down, but finally his name was called out. Naruto Namikaze. Good luck. One of the boys near the door said. Naruto nodded back to the boy. You too. Before Naruto stepped out of the classroom he turned around. I hope all of you pass your exams. I will be waiting outside to hear how everyone did. Naruto followed the instructor, as he led him into a small room in another hallway of the academy. Inside, there was a large table where the teachers at the academy were sitting at. Naruto recognized Iruka and Mizuki. The other teachers in the room were unknown to him. In front of Iruka, on the table lay the Konoha forehead protectors. Naruto eyed them. How should I wear it? The blonde boy wondered. One of the teachers coughed. Naruto Namikaze, please perform the 3 academy jutsus required to pass the test. First, the substitution jutsu. Trade places with a log that's placed in the corner of the room. Naruto didn't recognize the teacher but did as he was asked to. Naruto nodded to the teacher and vanished in a poof of smoke. A log was seen in his place while the boy was currently in the corner of the room, sitting on a different log. Without hand signs? As expected of you, Naruto. Iruka mentally noted, a proud smile on his face at the work of his student. Some of the teachers looked impressed. They had expected no less from the son of the 4th Hokage. However, some teachers like Mizuki frowned at Naruto for reasons he didn't know. Very good. Now, the second jutsu, the transformation jutsu. Please turn into a copy of one of the teachers in the room. A different teacher said this time. Very well. Naruto said with a nod. The boy made the necessary hand seals and soon vanished in another poof of smoke. In his place stood Yumino Iruka. The man was an identical version of the academy teacher in every way. His height and body stature was exact, as was his clothing. He even got my scar just right as well. Iruka noticed. He then coughed a little before speaking. Very well done, Naruto. Considering that it is me, I can tell that you did an excellent job and could probably pass off as me. Naruto dropped the transformation after his teacher's words. Now, the final jutsu. Mizuki spoke up. The clone jutsu. Please, make as many clones as you can in the room. Naruto sent out some signals to get a better idea of the teacher's emotions. Iruka was looking at him filled with pride while Mizuki's chakra was filled with disbelief and anger. The other teachers were either pleased or indifference. Well, let's do this, Naruto thought. He took a breath and used the clone jutsu to fill the room with other Narutos. Naruto, I must inform you that you have passed the graduation exam with flying colors. Iruka informed the boy proudly as he picked up a Konoha forehead protector and tossed it to the boy. Congratulations. You are now an official genin. Naruto caught it and contemplated where to wear thy protector. He tied it around his neck, bowed to the teachers and walked out of the room. Iruka looked after his favorite student while pride and joy filled him. Mizuki was frowning. I'm sure that I made it so that Naruto couldn't move the logs. How did he do it? This ruins my plans. Mizuki screamed in his head. The white-haired Chunin took a deep breath, calming down his inner rage. I have to calm down. This doesn't foil my plans, it is just a momentary sit-back. I just have to adapt some details. Mizuki decided to get out of the room and give himself a minute or so to think on how to change his plan. He stood from his seat and turned to the other teachers. I believe my part for today is mostly done. We only have a few more students left, and I expect them to pass as well. Anyway, I told you guys I had a prior engagement today, so I'm going to have to head to it now. If you will excuse me, he told them. The other teachers nodded at their coworker's words and watched as he walked out of the room. Mizuki was working out a new plan inside his head. Yes, this should work. Naruto was waiting outside, either congratulating his classmates for passing the exam or cheering them up if they failed. So far only 3 have failed the exam. This must be a new record, I think. Naruto. Can I talk to you for a moment? Naruto looked around and saw Mizuki walking towards him. Naruto frowned a little. He didn't like Mizuki and that feeling was mutually, though Naruto didn't really know why the white-haired teacher disliked him in the first place. Yes, Mizuki-sensei, what is it? Naruto asked. What does he want with me? The Chunin then started to walk off a little bit away from anybody that could possibly overhear their conversation. Naruto followed right behind him a little confused. Is something wrong, Mizuki-sensei? Naruto asked when they both finally stopped walking. Yes, there is. Naruto, you must promise me that you will tell anyone about what I say, understood? Mizuki informed him. Naruto frowned. What would be so important? Mizuki quickly looked around and came closer to Naruto. I have the suspicion that one of the academy teachers is a traitor who is after closely guarded secret of the village. Mizuki took another quick look around. They are after a certain scroll with information in your father's office. Naruto narrowed his eyes. Any idea who might be the traitor? He asked as he did a check of Mizuki's emotions. I have a few suspicions, but I don't know for sure. Mizuki answered. His emotions gave away that he was being dishonest. He is lying. Naruto concluded. Now to find out what it is that he really wants. Alright Mizuki-sensei, I will help you fish out this traitor. How can I help? Mizuki smiled eagerly. Very well Naruto, this is what we should do, listen closely. Naruto walked throughout the village deep in thoughts, so deep that he didn't notice that Sakura began walking beside him until she tapped on his shoulder. Naruto shook up and was about to attack when he saw it was Sakura. Yes Marino, how can I help you? Sakura smiled sweetly. Please tell me that you do not believe that bullshit Mizuki just told you. No, I do not believe him, and why did you spy upon us? Naruto questioned her. I need to make sure of my surroundings next time. Sakura smiled even more sweetly, if that was possible. I was on the roof, relaxing a little. When I heard the two of you talking, Mizuki was not very discreet, was he? Naruto shook his head. No, he was not, but I doubt you were just relaxing on the roof, were you? Sakura made an offended face. Me? Whatever are you talking about, Naruto? What else would a young and pretty girl like me doing on the roof of a building, spying on either Mizuki or me, probably on orders of your father? Naruto answered. The sweet smile disappeared from Sakura's face. Father ordered me to spy on Mizuki, as he was behaving suspiciously. Now I have found out why. The only question is, what are you planning to do, Naruto? Will you take down Mizuki on your own, or will you listen to my plan, and reveal him to be a traitor of the village? Naruto looked at the smaller girl skeptically. And why would you help me, Miss Sadist? Sakura's smile returned on her face. Because I simply can't stand traitors. Naruto nodded. Very well, what did you have in mind? A new smile appeared on Sakura's face, one that sent shivers down Naruto's back. It was a smile that promised a lot of pain. Naruto was currently resting against a tree. He had arrived at the spot Mizuki had pointed out as rendezvous. While getting the forbidden scroll from his father's office had been challenging enough, Naruto had plenty of time to spare. Finally Naruto's curiosity got the better of him, and Naruto began reading the scroll to find out what made it so special. Kage Bunshin Justu? Create solid clones of yourself, but divides your chakra among them. Sounds like useful, but I will look further. Naruto took out a small notebook and a pencil. He began writing down the instructions of several jutsu described in the scroll. After a few hours of searching throughout the scroll for jutsu that could be of use in the future, Naruto closed the scroll. This are a lot of jutsu, Naruto thought pleased as he hid the notebook in one of the pockets on his pants. Naruto! Yelled a voice. Naruto looked up and saw Iruka running towards him. Oh, Iruka-sensei, are you the traitor? That is not very good, you know. Dad dislikes traitors. Naruto asked with childlike innocence. Am me a TT traitor? Iruka stammered as he pointed at himself. What makes you think I am a traitor, Naruto? Well, Mizuki-sensei told me that if anyone else except for him would appear at the clearing, he or she would be a traitor. Naruto scratched the back of his head. But I do not think you are a traitor, Iruka-sensei. You are way too nice to be a traitor. Naruto, could you explain to me why exactly you have taken the scroll? Iruka questioned his until a few hours ago student. Naruto nodded and began to explain what Mizuki had told him. Iruka for his part got a very bad feeling about the situation. Well done, Naruto, you recovered the scroll perfectly. And the traitor has also revealed himself, I see. Quickly hand the scroll over to me, before Iruka grabs it from you. Mizuki appeared from behind a tree. Mizuki! What is the meaning of this? Iruka yelled at the man, who he once had called his friend. It is simple, Mizuki called, with an insane look on his face. I tricked the brat to bring the scroll to me, from which I would use a jutsu to destroy him. Iruka looked at Mizuki as if he was insane. What? Why would you do that? Mizuki laughed like a maniac. Because it's discovered a secret, Iruka, a secret our beloved Hokage kept from everyone. It is Konoha's shadow, even the council doesn't know about it. Naruto and Iruka looked confused at each other. What are you talking about, Mizuki-sensei? Naruto asked, still using an innocent tone. He hoped that it would appeal the traitor to tell more. The secret? The secret is that our Hokage didn't kill the Kyuubi at the day of your birth, Naruto. Mizuki ranted. That is rubbish. The fourth killed the fox and afterwards the third Hokage gave his life to make sure the demon never returned to this realm. Iruka angrily yelled, though Naruto heard some hesitation in his voice. Wrong. Mizuki snarled, as he pointed at Naruto. The fourth couldn't kill the fox. The third gave his life to seal the beast away. In the son of the fourth. Yes, that is right, Naruto, you are a demon made by your own father. Naruto felt like his soul had shattered like glass. I am a demon, Dad turned me into a demon, then what part of me is me? Are these my own thoughts or my demon's ones? Iruka chuckled, causing both Naruto and Mizuki's attention upon him. Yes, I knew, or I had my suspicions for a long time now. Did you know, Mizuki, that Naruto's mother was a friend of my mother, when mine was still alive? She often came to visit us, and to be honest I don't remember much from it. But one thing stayed clear in my mind, Kushina had the ability to let flowers grow. Then after the attack of the Kyuubi, Kushina was left crippled, and I soon discovered that she couldn't let the flowers grow anymore. But imagine my surprise when a young Naruto shows me that he could let all sort of plants grow by feeding them his chakra. From that point I had my suspicions. Then why didn't you kill him? Mizuki yelled enraged. The fox killed your parents. Because Naruto isn't the fox, Naruto is one of my precious students, who is always helpful and never looks down on others. Iruka declared. Iruka, you traitor! I will kill the fox. Mizuki raged, and he threw one of the two large shuriken on his back towards Naruto, who was still too stunned to move by both Mizuki's revelation and Iruka's declaration. Suddenly Naruto felt how Iruka pushed him out of the way. The large shuriken hit Iruka in his chest. Mizuki laughed madly at the meantime. Did I forget to mention that I covered my weapons in a special poison? It is apparently strong enough to kill a whale in about 15 minutes. This got Naruto out of his stun, and he kneeled down at Iruka's side. Why, Iruka-sensei? I am just a demon, you did not have to take the blow for me. Hush, Naruto. Iruka placed his finger on the boy's lips, before coughing up some blood. You are Naruto Namikaze of Konoha, my precious and ever-helpful student. You are the one who is going to surpass all the previous Hokage. That is what I believe, but more importantly you are the one I view as my little brother. Iruka coughed up a lot more blood this time. Iruka-sensei. Do not die please, I need you. Who else am I able to talk to? Naruto desperately yelled, tears streamed from his eyes. You will find other precious people, Naruto, I'm sure of it now. Close your eyes. Iruka requested. Naruto closed his eyes and felt how Iruka took of the forehead protector Naruto had tied around his neck, and replaced it with his own. Now you have a little part of me with you always. Iruka took one last glance at Naruto before his eyes closed slowly. Stupid! Now I wasted my shuriken on him. What a fool you were, Iruka. Mizuki spat on the ground. Suddenly the ground began to shake softly, and the wind suddenly began whisper. It sounded almost like words. Naruto slowly stood up, after gently laying Iruka on the ground. The blonde boy turned his head towards Mizuki. Both of his eyes had entirely turned a light ghostly blue color. You have killed Iruka-sensei. I will make you pay. To Mizuki it sounded like Naruto's voice came from everywhere, as if it was just carried with the wind. Naruto began making the hand seals that at one point had struck so much fear into other ninja that they rather committed suicide than faced the caster of the jutsu. First was the tiger seal, followed by the ram seal, and lastly the snake seal. Mokutan, naivety of a world of trees. Mizuki cursed loudly as he saw how trees and branches began to emerge from the ground. Minato was in his office. He was sure that his ANBU would bring Naruto and the scroll back. Afterwards Naruto would give a good explanation about his reasons for taking the scroll. After that things would go back to normal. Everything would be forgotten and pretended to never have happened. Hokage-sama, here is your tea. His loyal assistant brought Minato's favorite tea on a trail inside. As usual there was a small snack next to it. After thanking his assistant, Minato took a small sip of the hot tea and turned his chair towards the windows behind him. The fourth Hokage enjoyed another sip of his tea when he saw how giant trees and branches suddenly began to grow from the forest behind the training grounds. Only one word shot throughout his mind. Shit! Minato dropped his teacup and grabbed his signature cloak, before jumping throughout the open window towards the emerging forest. Mizuki was trying to dodge the many branches that tried to either grab or injure him. He cursed when a branch scratched across his back, tearing away a large part of his flesh. As Mizuki stumbled from the pain, a new thin branch grew from a tree and grabbed his left leg. He quickly grabbed a kunai and cut off the thin branch from his leg. I have to get out of this growing forest. I need to have a clear shot with my shuriken. Shot throughout the traitor's mind as the jump towards the branch of a tree Naruto didn't create. However, in midair 6 branches grew from the trees and grabbed Mizuki. 4 grabbed his legs and arms respectively, while the 5th one warped around his middle and the 6th one around his neck. No, I failed, were Mizuki's last thoughts before the branches literally pulled him apart. More branches appeared and they began to rip Mizuki's remains into several parts. This was the sight Minato first saw when he arrived at the now with trees filled clearing. Making a quick decision, he began making his way towards Naruto. Several branches tried to grab him, but the yellow flash was simply too quick to be grabbed by the branches. Minato hurled one of his special kunai towards Naruto's location, where it embedded itself into the ground near Naruto's feet. Minato teleported in front of Naruto but was forced to defend himself when his son let a sharp wooden branch grow from his arm, and began to attack Minato with it. Minato quickly parried the wooden sword with one of his kunai, before kicking against the hand Naruto wielded the sword, forcing Naruto to drop it. Naruto jumped back away from his father, and a tree began to grow underneath his feet. Mokutan, cutting technique. Naruto's voice, mixed with a demonic tone, whispered in the wind. From the tree Naruto stood upon sharp wooden spikes grew. At Naruto's command the spikes began launching themselves towards Minato, who was able to get out of their way in time. As the 4th Hokage looked up, he saw Naruto preparing for the same jutsu again. I must stop him. At this rate he can destroy the village. You really are strong, aren't you, Kyubi? To be reduced to this state, and still able to make Naruto temporarily able to fight against me. Minato ran up the tree towards Naruto, dodging and jumping to sides to avoid the spikes that still grew from the tree. Once on top he engaged Naruto in taijutsu. Interesting, taijutsu was never Naruto's strongest point, but at this point he is able to hold me off. This is however not the time to be impressed. Minato suddenly teleported behind Naruto and placed the seal in his son's neck. That forced him to fall asleep. Naruto, I wonder how strong you will become in the future, Minato said before he lifted Naruto over his shoulder. At that point several Anbu appeared before Minato. Hokage-sama, what is it we should do? The leader of the squad asked the village leader. Gather Iruka and what is left of Mizuki and make the new trees disappear, Minato ordered. The Anbu glanced around at the trees. Sir, can I ask what happened here? Mizuki tricked Naruto into stealing the scroll. Iruka found Naruto and saved him before Mizuki could harm my son. I presume Mizuki killed Iruka, and afterwards Naruto somehow released some dormant chakra of the first Hokage that had been sealed into the scroll as a defense, Minato answered before taking Naruto away. No one noticed a glimpse of a pink-haired girl slipping away from the clearing, while bearing a very sweet smile on her face. Chapter 3, Graduation Arc, the Kyuubi, the teams, the Jonin-sensei, and new dreams. Naruto opened his eyes with a groan, when he felt a soft gush of wind blew against his face. What happened and where am I? Were the blonde boy's first thoughts as he got up from the ground. I am no longer in Konoha, that is for sure. Naruto looked around. Somehow he had gone from the clearing in the middle of the forest to a dale in the middle of a giant mountain range. What was I doing before? Mizuki-sensei tried to trick me into giving him the forbidden scroll. Then Sakura, who had been spying my conversation with Mizuki, and I crafted a plan to capture Mizuki and reveal him a traitor. Everything went according to plan until Iruka-sensei showed up to Iruka-sensei. Naruto fell to his knees when he realized that the kind teacher had died. Iruka-sensei is dead, and it my fault. I truly am a demon, am I? Turn around, human. A heavy voice reached Naruto. It was seemingly carried by the wind. Naruto turned around and gasped loudly. Before him stood a gigantic tree. It was unlike any tree Naruto had seen before, yet it looked familiar to Naruto. So we finally meet, human, my container. The voice sounded again. Naruto looked around trying to find the source of the voice, until he looked back at the tree in doubt. You figured it out already? That was quicker than your mother did. The voice said again. The voice was heavy and it spoke very slow. Then again, humans always have to do things so quick these times. They do not pay attention anymore. Not as they did in the past. Who are you and where am I? Naruto asked. A confused tone laced his voice, maybe mixed with a bit of fear as well. Me? I am the Kyuubi, the demon tree and strongest of my kind if you believe the stories. The tree answered. As for where you are, this is your mindscape. Wait a moment. Naruto yelled. The Kyuubi is a giant fox, is he not? A fox? I am no fox, as you can see, human. I am a tree. Naruto believed the tree shook a little as it spoke. There was a moment of silence before the Kyuubi spoke up again. I would like to make a deal with you, human. A deal? What sort of deal? Naruto asked with suspicion. Nothing too serious, human. You give me permission to look throughout your eyes, and I will grant you a little of my power. The Kyuubi answered with its heavy and slow voice. What will you do by looking throughout my eyes? Naruto questioned the tree's intention. I simply want to know what goes on in the world outside. The seal that binds me to you does not allow me to sense what is happening outside, was the answer. Last question before I decide. What sort of power are you talking about? Naruto was curious what the tree had to offer him. I am a tree, my power reflects on that. I will grant you a very limited use of my Mokutan, the same power your first Hokage wielded. The Kyuubi replied in a bored tone, and perhaps in time I will grant you more of my power. Naruto though deep and long. Very well, Kyuubi, I make this deal with you, but only because what my mother told me about the time she was your container. Very well, human, I will grant you a little of my power, but be gone now, as I am feeling tired. The tree shook a little, and Naruto saw the mindscape fading away. Naruto Namikaze, what an interesting human, just like Hashirama. Naruto woke up once again. He felt strangely rested and full of energy. When he sat up he saw that his father was sitting on a chair in his room. So you are finally awake, Naruto? Minato asked his son. Yes. Naruto said shortly. Minato stood up. I told the council that when you looked in the scroll, you unsealed a part of the first Hokage's chakra that bound itself to you. This chakra allows you to use the Mokutan, though it is unknown for how long you will. This is the official story, one that you also will tell people when they ask you. Naruto narrowed his eyes. Why? Minato turned towards his son. Why what? Why either you or mom never tell me I was a Jinchuriki? Why did you lie to the village about the Kyuubi? Naruto snarled. I did it for the greater good, for the good of Konoha. Minato answered. And I forbid your mother from telling you. Now I believe you must prepare for the academy. The teams will be assigned today, and you cannot afford to miss something so important. With a flash of his cloak, Minato walked out of Naruto's room, leaving Naruto alone to figure out his feelings. Once Naruto got downstairs he saw his mother sitting at the dinner table. She had not yet noticed him. Naruto began reading her emotions. Sadness, fear of losing me forever, regret for not telling me. Naruto quickly realized that his father had spoken the truth for once about forbidding Kushina from telling Naruto. Mom? Naruto asked hesitatingly. Kushina turned around, Her eyes were red from crying and tears still were falling. And Naruto? Naruto quickly warped his mother in a tight hug. I do not blame you, Mom. After hearing Naruto say those words, Kushina began to cry even harder. Naruto silently listened on how one of the academy teachers, who had replaced Iruka, explained the events of yesterday. But his thoughts brought him back to the Kyuubi, Iruka, his father and the Kyuubi followed by Iruka once more. However, something moved besides him and Naruto looked up. Sakura had sat down at the empty spot besides him. What do you want, Marino? I am not in the mood for your games. Sakura leaned into Naruto and whispered in his ear. I know what happened yesterday. I saw and heard everything, Mokotan no Naruto, she said with one of her sickening sweet smiles. How? Naruto whispered, with a demanding tone. Sakura however grinned and flicked Naruto's ear. That is a question for you, and one for me to know, she said playfully with a Cheshire grin on her face. Naruto glared at the pink-haired girl. Well, should you not be busy with telling everyone my secrets? Secrets that Dad kept from everyone? Sakura shook her head. No, I don't want to make you an enemy, Blondie. I will rather be on your good side. Naruto looked very confused at Sakura. What do you mean, Marino? Please call me Sakura. As for your question, my father and a few others suspect that yours is lying to everyone, lying about things that concerns everyone in the village, and are not for the Hokage only to decide. That is not how Konoha works, so I think being close to you during the coming times will be a smart move. Naruto pointed at himself. And what is my role in all of this? Sakura's expression temporarily turned serious. I believe you will be in the middle of everything, Naruto. You possess a power that is both feared and revered, and it will be a key factor for upcoming times. The pink-haired girl said, a light flickered in her eyes. She is enjoying this. Naruto realized. This temporary chaotic situation after yesterday, Dad lying to the council to keep the peace. Council members doubting their Hokage, which can only lead to more shuffle and thrive. And Sakura is enjoying this, she really is dangerous. Naruto's thoughts were interrupted by the arrival of a second teacher, one that wielded an important-looking scroll. Excuse me, but I am here to announce the teams. The man coughed before he started talking again. Now, I'm going to start reading off the team names. Pay attention closely, because I will not repeat them, he informed everyone. Now Team 1. This continued for a while. Naruto didn't pay any attention to what was being said, completely lost in thoughts. Next is Team 7. The teacher continued reading out loud. Naruto Namikaze. Naruto lifted his head at the mention of his name. Sakura Marino. The teacher continued. Why her? Please tell me this is a joke. Naruto silently begged, while the pink-haired girl besides him smiled sweetly. And Sasuke Uchiha. The man concluded. This time Naruto almost cursed out loud. Why do I have to partner up with the only two people in class I'd rather not work with? Sakura creeps the hell out of me, while Sasuke only want to fight with me, to get strong so he finally can have his revenge. Team 8, Kiba Inuzuka, Hinata Hyuga and Shino Aburame. The teacher read up. Kiba cheered loudly and hugged a blushing Hinata who fainted due to close contact with her crush. The teacher waited for class to quiet down before he continued to read. Naruto became lost in thoughts, thinking how his new team could possibly work together. He only paid attention to the last team that was announced. Team 9 is still running, so last but not least Team 10, Ino Yamanaka, Kujiya Kimichi, and Shikamaru Nara. The Chunin teacher concluded. Well, now that you all know your teams, you are free to take an hour break for lunch. You will come back here to meet up with your Jonin sensei afterwards. You are dismissed for now. All of the ex-students nodded in response to their sensei's words and began to walk out of the classroom. Kiba, who was close to the door, reached for the door latch, when the door was suddenly slammed open. In the door opening stood a very intimidating man. Several students gasped when they saw him. The man was very tall and looked just like the second Hokage, only with light brown hair, and without the face markings. He even wore the same armor, only in red colors. He had a thin pipe that was called Kizuru in his mouth, and wore a large scroll on his back. He looked at Kiba, who still stood in front of him with his mouth wide open. The stranger patted the dog boy on his head before walking into the classroom. He stood still on what had been Iruka's usual spot behind the desk and took a long trek of his Kizuru while looking at the students. He breathed out the smoke in a particularly way that it formed letters above him. Konoha's lone artist. I am Shinji Senju, sensei of Team 7. The man introduced himself. Now, Naruto Namikaze, Sakura Marino and Sasuke Uchiha, follow me. We will begin our meeting and discuss protocol. Let's go. The room fell into a deathly silence. Pretty much every student was gawking at the man standing in front of them in surprise, annoyance, or fear. Sakura licked her lips when the man had announced his name. She now knew who he was. Sasuke too looked at the man with a pleased smirk. He was probably happy with the prospect of having a strong sensei. Naruto took a deep breath and began focusing on the situation at hand. He did a quick reading of their new teacher's emotions. Bored, annoyed, and yet interested. That is an interesting mix of emotions and feelings. Naruto quickly concluded. Senju-sama? You do know that the genin are allowed to have a lunch break for an hour, right? The meeting with their sensei after the lunch is over. The teacher that had informed the students of the events yesterday said nervously. The light brown-haired man looked sideward at the smaller teacher. I know, but I have decided that we are having lunch together, and discuss what is necessary at the same time. Killing two birds with one stone. The senju began walking out of the classroom but stopped in front of the door. He looked at his three students. What are you waiting for, an invitation? Follow me. Sakura looked at Naruto, who nodded and stood up, following their Jonin sensei out of the room. His self-appointed pink-haired friend went after him, followed by an already brooding Sasuke. Shinji Senju led his team to a small park located somewhere around the northeast border of Konoha. In the middle of the park stood a traditional tea house. It stood on the shore of a semi-large pond, and in the water floated several water lilies. Inside the tea house was it simply decorated. Some paintings were plastered to the wall, and the furniture was also fairly simple. However, Sasuke, who was used to live wealth, quickly noted that each painting was made by a very famous painter, who also had designed the furniture for in his own house. What was his name again? Sasuke thought. The waiters were dressed in traditional kimonos and did their job very gracefully, and as soon as the team set a foot inside the building, a woman with black hair and dressed in a deep green kimono walked towards them. A smile appeared on her face when she recognized the Jonin. Welcome, Senju-sama, is this your genin team? The Senju nodded. The woman smiled and turned to the team. Welcome, my name is Kaya and this is the Koto Tea House. It is well known by artists, performers and the upper class of Konoha, and is your sensei's most favorite place in the city. Allow me to lead your table. Team 7 followed the woman to their table. Once they sat down, Naruto began reading his sensei's emotions again. Now that we are at this tea house, he is much more relaxed, Naruto noted to himself. Shinji rested his chin on his hand and looked at each of his students for a short while. Naruto looked back at him, still following his new sensei's movements with his eyes, while the other two looked just as interested at him. Sensei? Sakura finally broke the silence that had fallen over Team 7 while they were waiting for their orders. What is it, Sakura? The man looked at her. Sakura smiled. Shouldn't you be going over the team protocol and stuff now? If we are to work together in the future, we should know each other at least a little. I suppose you are right. Shinji sighed. Fine, let's get this over with this before our food comes out. The three genin nodded. Very well, let's start with introducing ourselves to each other. Shinji said. But we obviously know each other already. Sasuke remarked. But I don't know you. The light brown-haired man shook his head. Introduce yourselves to me then. What do you want to know, sensei? Sakura asked, completely in her sweet little girl persona again. Oh, just your likes, dislikes, hobbies and dreams, and add your favorite fighting style with it. Shinji answered with a shrug. All right. Sakura said, placing her hands on the table. My name is Sakura Marino. I like spending time with my friends. And I also like sweets. I dislike people who judge each other. My hobbies are reading, training alone and with my father, and playing trivia games. For my dream, I wouldn't mind having a family one day. Sakura blushed a little. A few seconds later, her blush died down completely, and her eyes gained more focus. But before that, I want to become an excellent kunoichi, and take over as the head of the torture and interrogation division. My favorite technique would techniques I learned from daddy. Naruto looked at Sakura with interest. It would seem she spoke the truth for most parts, judging her emotions. Shinji nodded. She is a quite good actor. That sweet girl act would have fooled many. Very well, Sakura. Next one up is Naruto. Naruto nodded. My name is Naruto Namikaze. I like spending time with my classmates and mother. I also like ramen, especially miso ramen. I dislike bullies, people who look down on others and people who lie. Naruto added after a few seconds. My hobbies are training, learning new techniques, reading people around me, and tending the garden at my house. My dream is to become a respected jonin, so a certain someone acknowledges me as a person. As for my favorite technique, I do not have one at the moment. Shinji frowned. This is the child of the Hokage? It seems that the events of yesterday hit him quite hard. The brown-haired jonin pointed at Sasuke. It is your turn next, Sasuke. My name is Sasuke Uchiha. I like my direct family and the rest of my clan. I dislike fangirls and traitors. My hobbies are training to become stronger, and spending time around my clan members. As for my dream, no, I would rather call it an ambition. I will find my brother Itachi and get my revenge. The Jonin looked at the Uchiha with narrowed eyes. Typical an Uchiha. At the very least, he hasn't fallen too far yet, and I should be able to get him give up on his revenge. Oh, grandfather would have turned in his grave if I actually had to train him. Uchiha fallen to their curse of hatred. Sasuke looked at the Jonin with a frown. Is there a problem? No, it is nothing, just thinking of something ironic. Shinji said nonchalantly. At that point, Kai came to them with a trolley filled with their order. Here you all are, green tea and some slices of cheesecake. When she handed out the plates, she noticed the slight downcast mood of the genin. As soon as the woman handed Shinji his plate, she slapped the back of his head. Shinji, be nice to them. They are just children. The Senju grumbled in response and took a small scroll and pencil from his pocket. While the team drank their tea and ate their cake, Shinji began writing something down in neat and graceful kanji. When he was done, he looked at his students. I have written some poetry about you three. First up is Sakura. Shinji looked at his scroll. A small seed, with the potential to bloom to a beautiful flower. Yet hidden underneath are sharp thorns. Sakura Haruno. Shinji nodded to the embarrassed girl with a friendly smile. Secondly, Naruto, born high and mighty, yet is humble. The one who reads people and nature as one. Naruto Namikaze. Naruto blinked a few times. Why does he do poetry at a time like this? Shinji chuckled when he saw Naruto's confused expression, before turning serious and looking at Sasuke. And lastly, Sasuke. Born in the clan of fire, proud heir to his clan. The boy who can walk two paths. Sasuke Uchiha, the boy with potential. Team 7 was confused, and not sure what they should do. I guess it is my turn to introduce myself. Shinji stated. I am Shirji Senju, third grandson of the second Hokage. I specialize in political missions. My likes are poetry, other kinds of art, and working on my jutsu. He said, bored. Political missions, some of the highest and dangerous class of missions, as they sometimes can decide the fate of an entire country. Naruto, though, his respect of the Jonin increasing. My hobbies, Shinji continued, are practicing different forms of art, training and spending time at the tea house. I dislike stuck-up clan people who look down on civilian shinobi, the village council, and a certain pervert who keeps chasing my niece. As for my favorite technique, you will find out soon enough. Shinji took a long sip from his tea. Alright then, I am supposed to give you some sort of second test to see if you can make as a genin team or something like that. But it has been made clearly to me that the three of you are the best the academy has to offer at the moment, so I won't waste our precious time on that. No, instead I am going to give you a mission, and based on your performance I will make a training schedule for such a hazardous training that you will be an excellent team once we are done. The Senju smirked. Around the tea house several whispers could be heard. Those poor genin, it seems this will be their first and last time here at the tea house. I have heard that in the beginning teams do everything at a rather slow pace. Sakura tapped her chin with her forefinger. Shinji nodded with a serious expression on his face. I know, but in my line of job, the missions are often even more dangerous than usual, and I won't be able to keep an eye on you three the whole time. So I have to know what the three of you are capable to. Shinji gave each member of Team 7 a scroll. Read the scroll carefully and follow the instructions to the letter. The Jonin lit his Kizaru. Meet me here, at 8 a.m. sharp. The genin nodded and stood up to leave. Naruto, could you wait for a moment? Shinji asked his blonde-haired student. Naruto nodded and sat back down. Is there something wrong, Shinji-sensei? He asked as soon as Sakura and Sasuke had left. The Jonin shook his head. No, nothing is wrong, just read the scroll first. Naruto opened the scroll and began reading, not finding anything strange with the scroll. Meet me at the Kodo tea house at 8 a.m. sharp. I will not wait for you if you are late. For the mission I have made a list of necessary items. 1. A set of sharp new kunai. 2. A set of explosive notes. 3. 2 sealing scrolls containing food. 4. 1 sealing scroll containing drink. 5. 1 empty sealing scroll. 6. Clothes from the Kage Ninja shop. A black shirt, dark gray pants, and a belt capable of wearing a lot of tools and scrolls. Don't forget it. Shinji Senju. Naruto looked confused at Shinji. I do not get it. What is wrong? I am able to pay for all these with ease. Shinji nodded as he lit his Kizaru. I know, but I was planning to accompany you for a while during your shopping trip and show you something. That Naruto began. Will be necessary, yes I know. Let's go. Shinji cut Naruto off and began to walk out of the tea house. Naruto shook his head very confused as he followed his sensei. So many things happening shortly one after another I can barely keep up with my thoughts. During the shopping Naruto discovered 3 things about his sensei. First off, he had little patience for people who treated him like a king because he was a senju. Secondly, he had a huge dislike for over-friendly people, mainly shopkeepers. Thirdly, he liked small children, who also liked the tall man back. They were heading for whatever Shinji wanted to show to Naruto, when a small group of 6 children spurted towards him. Shinji! Shinji! You are back! Do you have stories to tell? Shinji smiled and squatted down in front of the children. Yes, indeed, I am finally back. How are you all doing, Keiji, Mori, Rin, Goro, and who is this pretty young lady? I surely don't remember seeing her before. The smallest child hid behind Keiji's, the tallest boy, back. The boy called Goro laughed. Shinji, you dummy, that is little Soot. She has grown a lot since last time. Shinji ushered the child to come closer. Yes, now I see it. It is little Soot. Shinji caressed the small girl's cheek. You have grown up, Soot. The small girl hugged the tall man. Shinji, can you tell us about your long mission? Rin asked. Well, it was a very hard mission and I had to fight a lot of bad guys. Let me tell you about it. The children listened to the story with their mouth wide open, completely engrossed in the story. While he was telling the story, Shinji took a quick glance at Naruto, to see if he was listening to the story. Is this what Shinji-sensei wanted to show me? Naruto wondered as he listened to the story of Shinji's latest mission. He had been the bodyguard of a princess in a country warped in a war where he constantly needed to save her from assassins. After a short while the parents of the children called them, and after a quick goodbye they ran towards them. Shinji stood back up and stretched. Naruto, I have a question. After seeing this, how far do you think I will go for these children? Know every single child of Konoha? You would give it your all? Naruto correctly guessed. Shinji nodded pleased. How far would your mother go to save you? She would get me safety even at the cost of her own life. Naruto wondered what the purpose of these questions was. Shinji remained silent for a moment. Then what do you think Iruka would give to protect one of his students? To protect the future generations of Konoha? Naruto widened his eyes when he realized the answer. Everything Iruka-sensei would give. No has given everything to protect me and the future of Konoha. Every true Konoha shinobi must love, believe, cherish and fight for the village's sake, as previous generations had done before them. This is what gives Konohagakure shinobi the strength to continue fighting against all odds, building willpower and strength of character. This is all of the hopes and dreams of the previous generation being passed to the next, such as the will of fire. Shinji quoted the words of his ancestors. Naruto stared with wide eyes at his sensei. This is why you should not blame yourself for Iruka's death. It will dishonor his name and beliefs. Shinji told his pupil. Naruto nodded. The sad expression he had on his face the entire day had disappeared, and had been replaced with a determined look. Shinji-sensei, I would like to reintroduce myself again, or at least state my dream for the future. Shinji nodded pleased with his student. Well, let me hear it, Naruto. Naruto smiled, and pointed at himself with his thumb. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I like my classmates and mother. I dislike people who look down on others and people who give up their beliefs. My hobbies are training, learning new jutsu and spending time with my classmates and mom. I have 3 dreams for the future. Firstly, I want to become Hokage and let everyone in the village believe in the will of fire again. Secondly, that I will live up to the dreams of both Iruka-sensei and the 3rd Hokage. And last but not least, I want to make Team 7 a team that will be written about in the history books, all 5 of us. Naruto looked around and saw how a small crowd had gathered around him and Shinji. The crowd contained both ninja and civilians. Naruto glanced around. He waited for the reaction of the crowd and more importantly Shinji. 2 elderly women began clapping and soon the entire crowd followed. Splendid Naruto Nami no Naruto Uzumaki, Shinji stated loudly, while clapping. From the rooftop Sakura looked down at her blonde teammate, as she overheard what he yelled. I knew it was the best choice to follow him. I wonder if he would need a torture and interrogation division in the Konoha he seemingly plans to create. Even so, every Hokage needs a few elite shinobi under his direct command. Let's see if I can become one of them. Sakura grinned widely again, before she disappeared into nothingness. Only her smile was slightly longer visible than the rest of her body. Chapter 4, Earth and Water Makes Trees, the first mission of Team 7. Naruto was running toward the Kodo tea house. He was running late due that Kushina kept telling him to be careful and to make sure he would come back. Mom sure is working hard to make up for not telling me about the Kyuubi. Not that she has done anything wrong in my opinion. As soon as he arrived at the tea house, Naruto stormed inside. I am here, he said out of breath. From his table Shinji gave a short wave with his hand. Naruto walked towards him and sat down in one of the empty chairs. Sensei? Where are the others? Naruto asked as he didn't see Sakura or Sasuke anywhere. Your teammates are running a little late it seems, Shinji answered. If they don't hurry up we will leave without them. Out of nowhere Sakura suddenly plumped down in the seat next to Naruto, startling the blonde. Morning Sensei, morning Uzumaki. Naruto nearly fell off his chair at Sakura's sudden appearance. How do you do that? Just a few moments ago you were not here, and now suddenly you are here. Sakura grinned like a cat. My dear blondie, I think therefore I am, was her cryptic answer. Shinji narrowed his eyes. She referred him as Uzumaki, which would mean she overheard us yesterday. What sort of tool have you got in your hands on Ibiki? At that point Sasuke ran inside. He slammed the door close and barricaded it with a table and a few chairs. When the black-haired boy turned around he saw everyone in the tea house looking confused at him. Fangirls trying to say goodbye, he replied shortly, before sitting down beside Shinji. The Jonin nodded. Very well, now that all of you are here I will start with the briefing of the mission. Sasuke however interrupted Shinji. Do you not have to make sure I'm alright? I was almost attacked you know. No, I will not. Why should I? I am here to teach you, not to lick every little injury you might have. In any case, what do the 3 of you know about political missions? Shinji raised his eyebrow at Sasuke's question. Political missions are some of the highest class missions that often involve doing things for the daimyo, or nobility of your country. Mostly they are missions that are important to the country itself, such as assassination of other nobles threatening your country, delivering of very important letters that often can decide the fate of many people, and the escort and or protection of members of nobility. Naruto stated, remembering reading about it before. Shinji nodded. Correct Naruto, I myself specialize in this sort of mission. Most of them are of high importance, and Konoha cannot afford to have their only specialists gone off the grid only to train a new genin team. Why not? Sasuke asked. Shinji frowned a little before continuing. By proving Konoha's worth to the nobility of other countries earns us a lot more of clients, and with more clients our economics improve, allowing us to afford and train better shinobi, which will increase our success in missions and creditability, and so on, a snowball effect. Shinji explained to his students. This is why I must continue doing these missions for the importance of the village, and such the 3 of you will come along with me. Meaning I will train you to become Konoha's newest products. Products? Naruto frowned, not liking the idea to be compared to an object. Shinji nodded. Yes, products, or something similar. When I take you along with my missions, you three will be viewed as genin from Konoha. Show great promise and finish the mission to the best of your abilities, and you can be certain the clients return to hire more of Konoha's talent genin. Naruto nodded slightly. He still didn't like the idea very much. Shinji continued. But there is also another reason, that the three of you have been appointed as my students. And that is? Sasuke asked after being quiet for a short while. Sasuke Uchiha, heir of the famous Uchiha clan. Naruto Uzumaki, only child of the fourth Hokage. Sakura Marino, adopted daughter of the feared Ibiki Marino. A team filled with three of the best, if not the best genin of your generation. You three will be big names in the future. Combine that with one of the last two Senju as the teacher, and you have a team that will be feared already when its name comes across. A team filled with some of Konoha's brightest, who still have endless possibilities before them. The three genin smiled brightly at the praise their sensei was giving them. Shinji slammed his hand on the table, bringing them back to reality. Now on to the mission at hand. I received the mission from a minor noble who looks over a patch of land towards the south of Konoha. It seems that a rather large group of bandits have hauled themselves up into the ruins of an abandoned stronghold. Normally the Hokage would send a bunch of chunin to clear it out, but this is where it gets problematic. The bandits keep the young children of the noble hostage. We are supposed to free the hostages and clear the bandits. Are there any questions? The genin shook their heads. Shinji sighed. You three realize that I will mostly observe the three of you, which leaves the killing to us. Naruto finished the sentence. A feeling of dread washed over him. After 2 days of traveling in a southwards direction, throughout the thick forests of the Fire Country, Team 7 finally reached their destination, the ruins of an abandoned stronghold. It had been a silent trip. The three genin had been quiet since Shinji had told them about the mission. Of course, being a ninja meant you had to be silent, but this was a different sort of quiet than the normal one. This one felt unnaturally. The implications of what the genin were about to do weighing heavily on their shoulders. Even from a distance, Naruto could see that the place was swarming with bandits. How are we getting inside? Securing the hostages is our first priority during this mission, Shinji observed in silence as they watched his three genin. I wonder what they are thinking right now. Suddenly there was a loud scream, and the Konoha ninja focused upon the direction. What they saw horrified at least 2 of the 3 genin. In one of the corners of the square between the crumbling walls of the stronghold stood a large cage. Inside the cage were several civilians, both young and old. They have taken civilians as hostage as well. Those bastards. Naruto thought with an angry expression on his face. I had my suspicions that the noble was leaving something out when he gave me the mission. Oh well, just extra credit for us, I suppose. Shinji stated. But this adds an extra burden to our mission, as we will have to rescue these hostages too. Fortunately the bandits are too busy with them to notice us. Naruto looked up in anger at his sensei and his seemingly disinterest at the civilians in the cage. But when Naruto read his teacher's emotions, he felt an overwhelming force of anger and hatred for the bandits. While his emotions are so intense, it would seem that the stories about the Senjus and their emotions are true. In any case, I will help you three a little. Shinji continued. Sasuke, you will kill the bandits around the cage, and protect the hostages from future harm. Naruto, you will distract the main group of the bandits, lure them out of the stronghold where I will join you to finish them off. Sakura, you will free the noble's children, and if you are able to kill the leader of the bandits. Sasuke was feeling something he had never felt before, or at least not at this volume dash. The arrogant Uchiha clan heir couldn't deny it as he mentally prepared himself for what he was about to do. Sasuke was hiding in the shadows near the cage where about 6 bandits had gathered, all of them leering at the woman in the cage. Sasuke shook his head to focus himself. Right in front of him, with his back turned to the wall, was a large man with long black hair and no clothes on. Sasuke could smell him from his position in the bushes: sweat, blood and sex. It was enough to make him feel sick. He slipped out of the bushes, and made sure to stay in the man's shadow so that the bandit couldn't see him. The broody boy stabbed the bandit in the base of his neck with his kunai, severing his major arteries. The bandit fell down and hit the ground. His arm hit something of metal that flung against the bars of the cage, alerting the other bandits. Sasuke cursed his luck as the remaining 5 quickly grabbed their weapons and ran towards him. Sasuke dodged the first swing one of the bandits made with his axe. The black-haired boy took out a new kunai the blink of an eye and used it to reflect the knife one of the bandits had thrown at him. Another bandit swung a large maul at Sasuke, who rolled out of the way, before throwing a few shuriken at his third attacker. Just as always, Sasuke's accuracy with them were almost flawless, as each of the shuriken had hit a vital spot on the maul-wielding bandit. Damn you! The bandit that had first attacked Sasuke roared, and he charged towards the broody boy. This proved a fatal last mistake the bandit would make, as Sasuke sidestepped him and stabbed the kunai he still was holding in the lower back part of the skull, marking his third kill. As the remaining 4 bandits charged at him, Sasuke realized what he was feeling: excitement. This was his change to prove himself to everyone in the village, to make clear that the Uchiha clan still was to be respected as one of Konoha's major clans. As she had watched both Naruto and Sasuke sneak towards the camp, Sakura began to move on her own towards the inner works of the stronghold. She almost casually walked throughout the corridors in search of the kidnapped children and leader of the bandit, who probably all would be in the same room. Sakura made a hand seal by crossing her little fingers and index fingers respectively. This cased her body to turn into an invisible ghost-like state which allowed her to phase throughout things without hinder. She usually made her smile disappear as last for the dramatic effect. The pink-haired girl phased throughout the wall, finding a room in which a bandit was sleeping, probably drunk. Sakura smirked and took out a small kunai-shaped throwing knife from her pocket. Just like her, the knife was at the moment invisible and able to phase throughout objects. Sakura stabbed the bandit in his air pipe, the knife phasing throughout it until Sakura undid her technique. This caused the knife to be solid again, and the bandit began struggling for his breath. Sakura looked on as the bandit opened his eyes and desperately looked around, before finally stopping at her. Before they lost their light, Sakura turned invisible again and continued to search for her targets. And while her technique seemed powerful, it had two major flaws. While invisible, Sakura couldn't touch anything, be it living or an object. She has to turn of the technique to touch and affect anything. The only reasons why her clothes didn't drop off as soon as she activated it was due to the reason that they had been made with special threads that had been entangled with thin metal wires. Those wires are made from a special metal that can be infused through the chakra flow with elemental chakra or even yin, yang chakra to produce added effects. The same was true for all of her equipment, including the throwing knives. The second major flaw was that she was unable to use any elemental jutsu while in her ghost-like state. Sakura was still experimenting with her jutsu a lot, exploring the limits and to discover any other flaws. So far the only things she hadn't been able to phase throughout were chakra barriers. Yet as her father always said, Sakura, remember every jutsu has its flaws. To master one technique you must first be aware of them, before you can start working on to master it. During her search, Sakura killed most of the bandits in many cruel and painful ways. The yells and silent screams of pain, the look in her victim's eyes, they made Sakura almost burst with the sick pleasure she was feeling from killing the bandits. After a while she finally reached the lowest levels of the stronghold where she found the bandit leader and the two children. The leader was pacing around the room, while the two children were asleep. The leader stopped pacing and looked up when a small explosion shook the chamber a little. Sakura took this moment to stab two of her knives in the leader's heart, instantly killing him when she undid her jutsu. Before waking the children, Sakura took a look around the chamber. She smirked when she discovered an emergency stairway that led to outside the fortress. Focusing her attention back on the children, Sakura was unable to wake either one, meaning they had either drank a sleep-inducing potion or were placed under a sleeping jutsu. The latter worried Sakura as that meant that among the bandits a shinobi was hidden. The pink-haired girl sighed and began carrying the eldest and heaviest of the two children towards the stairs. Unlike his teammates, Naruto felt nothing even close to excitement or pleasure from attacking the bandits. No, what he felt was more akin to pity and sadness. By reading the emotions of the bandits, he had discovered that most of them felt uncomfortable and even scared to be at the stronghold. After eavesdropping two guards, he discovered why. Both of the bandits had been poor farmers before they had become bandits. To escape poverty, they had joined the bandits. I would have given them a second change were it not for the fact that they have mugged and killed others just to get a little more money. Naruto sighed and took a kunai from his pouch. He attached an explosive seal to it and threw it near the main gate of the stronghold. It exploded a few seconds later, drawing the attention of many bandits, who began rushing towards Naruto. Naruto retreated back towards a more open space. He turned back to face the bandits and moved into the taijutsu stance. Soon the bandits reached him and began to attack the blonde boy ruthlessly. Naruto either blocked or dodged the attacks, yet against such an overwhelming force he could barely hold his ground, and a few bandits actually managed to give him a few shallow cuts and scratches. Just as the bandits began to overwhelm Naruto, he felt a tingling in his head as the Kyuubi began speaking to him. It seems that you have gotten yourself in a situation again. The stupidity of humans apparently knows no bounds, does it? Less talking, more helping, please. Naruto desperately requested, just as he narrowly avoided to be beheaded. Well, I did promise to give you a little of my power, did I not? The tree said slowly, not in any apparent hurry. Yes, indeed you did, demon. Now fulfill your end of the bargain, please. Naruto thought, then he suddenly felt his chakra stir. The knowledge of a jutsu suddenly appeared in his mind and Naruto knew how he could get out of this situation. The blonde boy rolled backwards away from the bandits and formed hand seals very quickly before slapping his right hand on the ground. Dokuten, deep earth trench. From Naruto's hand the ground split open and a trench was created. Most of the bandits fell into the trench when the ground suddenly disappeared from beneath their feet. A second jutsu became known to Naruto, who quickly did the necessary hand seals. Suetun, wild water wave. From his mouth Naruto gushed a lot of water at high pressure. This caused the deep trench to fill with water quickly while the water pressure forced the bandits to stay at the bottom, causing them to drown. Finally the Kyuubi imparted Naruto with the knowledge of one last jutsu. Mokuton, cutting technique. From his hand Naruto grew a familiar sharp wooden spike. Naruto used it to block the attack from a bandit who didn't fall in the trench. Naruto quickly pushed the bandit's sword away, before stabbing the man with the wooden spike. Naruto looked up. About 9 bandits still remained. They had decided to stay close to each other, and were moving cautiously towards him. Throw the spike in the middle of their group. The Kyuubi instructed Naruto, who did as the demon tree told him. He threw the spike in the middle of the remaining bandits, who looked at suspiciously. Now use your chakra to grow sharp branches from it. Remember, the wood is a part of you, you are its origin, and it responds to your chakra. Your chakra will make it grow while your own willpower and control will shape it, the tree explained. Naruto closed his eyes and began sensing for the branch created by his own chakra. When he found it, he began pouring chakra into it. While he did so, Naruto began commanding it like he did with the flowers in the garden at his home, and sure enough 9 new branches filled with chakra grew from it. Naruto opened his eyes and instructed the branches to pierce the bandits. Naruto felt on his knees, gasping. That took a lot out my, too much for one attack. That is to be expected by using it for the first time, though you did better than Hashirama at his first try. Now I have learned you 3 new techniques, keep practicing them, master them, learn more jutsu, master them too, and then maybe I will teach you a little more human. The Kyuubi's voice faded away with a soft breeze. Naruto took a deep breath, and got back up again. He staggered a little but managed to keep his balance. The blonde boy didn't notice, however, that someone tried to sneak up on him from the shadows. From his position, Shinji had a wide overview of the arena, allowing him to observe each of his students. Blessed with sensory ability he had inherited from his grandfather, he could easily detect all of them. Sakura was a little harder at the beginning, but once he knew how to find her, it was quite easy. Shinji saw how Sasuke took down the bandits that guarded the cage with civilian hostages, with relative ease for the young Uchiha. Sakura too had no problems reaching her objectives. He had been about to jump in and help Naruto finish of the bandits, when he felt a second unfamiliar chakra coming from Naruto. And then Naruto used both an earth and a water jutsu, and what was even more unbelievable, Naruto had somehow used the Mokuton. The Senju frowned in deep thought as he saw how Naruto finished of the last of the bandits. How is a young boy, not even half my age, able to use the legendary power that, until now, only my granduncle wielded? I will have to investigate this. When I know more I will confront Naruto about it. Shinji concluded. From the bushes he felt another chakra signature sneak closer to Naruto. Shinji smirked. Well, look at that, they even have recruited a missing nin from Konoha into their ranks. Shinji reached into one of his many pouches, and took out a long Senbon needle. He lay it on the palm of his right hand. Jiten, sure Senbon kill. He almost whispered. The Senbon needle shot throughout the air as Shinji guided it with his magnetic powers. The tall Jonin aimed at the missing nin. The needle shot throughout the back of the man's skull and pierced his brain, killing the missing nin. The Senju jumped down the tree he was standing upon, and as he began walking towards the meeting spot he lit his Kizaru. Let's see how they react to all of this killing, or if they react at all to it. After making sure all of the hostages are fine, the civilians had been reluctant to let Team 7 help them, but after noticing that the ninja meant well, they accepted the help. A small camp had been set up, and with food gathered from the stronghold, Shinji had managed to make a decent meal for everyone. Sasuke had made a fire and was now just staring into it. Sakura lay on her back, as she was looking at the stars. Naruto on the other hand was pacing, unable to take his mind of the killing. Shinji had sent a messenger hawk to Konoha to ask for transport for the civilians, also including the mission report, so that Minato knew why he had to send extra transport. After making sure there were enough tents for the civilians and the nobles' children, the Jonin sensei sat down at the fire Sasuke had made, and once more lit his Kizaru. No one said anything, they just sat there in silence. Taking a deep breath, Shinji spoke up. The first time I took a life for a mission I was 9 years old. I had only just become a genin. My team and I were returning from a simple delivering mission. The mission had gone well, very well even. But then on the way back we were suddenly attacked by a band of rough shinobi. One of them went towards me thinking since I was the youngest and smallest that I would be an easy kill. The man stormed towards me. I don't know what his name was, or even remember what he looked like. All I remember is his blood hitting my face as I slammed my kunai into his chest. Sasuke and Naruto looked at their sensei in wonder. If Sakura paid attention, she didn't show it. For the rest of the mission I didn't talk to anyone. Nothing my sensei or teammates said worked. I kept asking myself, why did I kill him? I saw his blood on my hands, but no matter what I did I couldn't wash it off. Shinji paused for a short while looking up at the sky. When I got back to the village I went straight to my niece, nephew, and my niece fiancé, my only living family members at the time. As soon as I saw her she pulled me in a tight hug and I cried for nearly 2 hours. But then she began talking to me, explaining that it was for the best that I killed him, otherwise he would have killed me and maybe many more people in the future. Shinji looked at his team. I let you kill this soon to let you face reality, but also to protect you. Sasuke and Naruto looked at each other and nodded. The two genin understood why their sensei had brought them here, why he had made them make their first kill so soon when other teams probably wouldn't have to until their first year had passed. It was to protect them. Thinking about what he had said, Naruto and Sasuke were not sure how they would have reacted if their first kill had been like his, unprepared, without knowing that it was going to happen. At least they had had time to prepare themselves. He wanted them to do this at a time he could help them, to make sure they got through it, and so he could be there for them. Shinji had been prepared for many reactions from the two, shouting, crying. He expected them to hate him for what he had made them do. What he wasn't expecting was that Naruto stood back up and bowed to him. Though you do not really show it outwardly, you truly are a kind man, Shinji-sensei. Sasuke smirked a little. You are not bad for a senju. And besides, if we had discovered that we couldn't do the killing later on in our career and have to quit thanks to that, then all the training and missions we would have done beforehand would have been a big waste of time, Shinji stammered and turning slightly red. You are not bad for a bunch of brats yourselves, and I guess that I don't mind being your sensei. Shinji coughed, returning to his stern personality. In any case, it will take about 2-3 days for the wagons to arrive and about the same time to go back. During that time I am going to plan a training schedule for when we get back. But for now rest and think about what I have said. The genin nodded. I will take the first watch. Naruto volunteered. Shinji nodded. Alright, wake me up in 3 hours. About 3 hours later Shinji opened his eyes. He had not really been asleep, more in a light slumber. He got up from his spot on the ground and listened to the sounds around him. Well, it is about time to switch with Naruto, time to get up. Shinji began searching for Naruto, who seemingly was wandering around the camp. Shinji found him sitting on a branch of a tree. As soon as Shinji approached him, Naruto looked in his direction. You are already awake, Shinji-sensei? I was just about to wake you up. Shinji sat down beside Naruto and looked at the tents of the civilians. Your team did very well today, Naruto. Most kids your age would have been traumatized right now, or at least cry about what they just did. I think you and Sasuke did both very well. However, I noticed that Sakura didn't even seem bothered by killing bandits. Well, that is due her spending time around Ibiki and his division, I guess. Naruto looked troubled by something. Sensei, can I make a confession? Shinji glanced down at Naruto. Of course you may, as long as it isn't a loved one. Naruto shook his head and took a deep breath. To be honest, this was not the first time I have killed someone. The first time has only been a few days ago. When Iruka-sensei was killed by Mizuki, I was there, and somehow I lost control and killed Mizuki. Shinji nodded. So I have heard, but the Hokage also said that somehow you unlocked a sealed part of my granduncle's chakra, and temporarily was able to use his Mokuton. You know, Naruto, Hashirama's chakra was rumored to be wild and for others uncontrollable. If a part, no matter how small, managed to get in your system, it is no real wonder you lost control. Naruto nodded. He felt relieved by sharing this with his sensei, even if it was only partly the truth. Shinji patted Naruto on his shoulder. No need to worry about it, Naruto, but it is brave you shared it with me. Sharing is after all a step further on the road of redemption. Now go get some sleep. Naruto nodded and went to his teammates. Shinji lit his kizaru and blew out some smoke, forming 3 words. Sasuke, Sakura and Naruto. They have much potential. Sasuke Uchiha, the heir of the Uchiha clan. Sakura Marino, Ibiki's daughter, and of course Naruto Nami no Naruto Uzumaki, the one surrounded in mystery and lies. Probably created by our own Hokage. The tall Jonin looked at the sky. Naruto, I will discover the truth around you. Not because I am so curious about it, but the fact that the lies hurt you. And it is my duty as sensei to help my students. Chapter 5, The Library Arc, The Library of Gaijutsu. The outer forest of Konohagakure was unnaturally quiet at this time of day. The wind barely breezed through the leaves and no creature made the slightest sound, for they could sense danger over the horizon. Suddenly the voice of a certain blonde sounded from a small clearing. Shadow Clone Jutsu. In the matter of seconds the entire clearing was filled with at least 100 clones. The original smirked. Who would have thought that I was able to use a kinjutsu like this with such ease? Well, I should thank the Kyuubi for it, I suppose. Since early in the morning Naruto had been trying to teach himself the Shadow Clone Jutsu. It was now nearly 11, which means I got it down in about 4 hours. Not bad, I think. After disrupting the clones, Naruto took out the scroll he had written, the jutsu he had copied from the Forbidden Scroll. Next up is a variation of the Shadow Clone Jutsu, the Shadow Shuriken and Kunai clone techniques, invented by the 3rd Hokage it seems. After reading throughout the instructions, Naruto grabbed a shuriken and threw it towards one of the many trees. Shadow Shuriken Clone Jutsu. Naruto made about 20 clones of the shuriken which all hit the original's intended target. The Shadow Kunai Clone Jutsu is similar, but only with kunai instead of shuriken, and it requires much less chakra. I could teach it to Sasuke and Sakura. After practicing the technique a few more times, Naruto began the task of collecting his items. When the alarm he had set began ringing loudly, Naruto quickly turned it off, and began hastening himself towards the Hokage Tower. The time of private training was over for today. Shinji-sensei had kept true to his words and had made a training schedule for each of them. The team started with a warming up before the training, that began at 6:30 a.m. and ended at 7 a.m. After the warm-up the training began, doing whatever training Shinji had done to do at the time. This lasted until 11 a.m. At that time they went to the Hokage Tower, after the genin changed clothes and freshened themselves up a bit, to collect their missions for the day. They did missions until about 1600 hours p.m., and from then on it was training again until dinner, which was either at Shinji's house with their complete team, or each of the team at their respective home. For in the evenings Shinji had given them homework and required them to study about the ninja world. They could decide at which time they went to sleep themselves, but with their schedule around 2200 hours p.m. was about the limit. And while the team groaned and felt tired from their harsh training schedule, they noticed that when compared to their peers who graduated at the same time, Team 7 had a large lead on training and knowledge compared to their former classmates. Once Naruto had met up with his team, they walked throughout the tower towards the mission debriefing room. So Sasuke made any progress with that jutsu you are working on? Naruto inquired. Sasuke nodded with a satisfied smile on his face. I see, but what if you change that last hand seal to tiger instead of snake? As tiger is usually more associated with fire jutsu? Naruto suggested, whilst rubbing his chin. I will have to try that this afternoon. Thanks for the suggestion, Naruto. Sasuke thanked his blonde friend, and the two of them continued discussing new jutsu and other techniques. On Naruto's right, Sakura walked beside him, listening to the boys' conversation with a smile on her face. Not far behind them, Shinji observed them. When we began, I had the feeling Naruto and Sasuke didn't really like each other much, but now they seem at least be able to work as teammates. The wonders a few weeks of working together can do with people. Soon Team 7 walked into the debriefing room, where Minato was working behind a desk. A good morning, Team 7 here for another mission again? The blonde Hokage looked at the young genin with a smile on his face, while at Sakura and Sasuke with a smile. Naruto got a small glare. Yes, Hokage-sama, you are correct. Sakura answered dutifully. Among the genin, Naruto was sort of the unofficial leader. He just emitted something that made people want to follow him, including Sasuke and Sakura. However, there was one unspoken rule. Naruto refused to talk with Minato if possible. Minato nodded with a smile on his face. Alright then, let's see what I have for you. Cleaning out the Inuzuka kennels, unclogging the Akimichi sewers, or assist in the harvest at a nearby farm. So which one will it be? Minato glanced at Naruto, who looked back with an impassive look. For some reason the Hokage always gave Team 7 the most dirtiest jobs around, and then he would have a staring contest with Naruto, as if he expected Naruto to lash out against him. It was getting annoying and ridiculous in Shinji's opinion. Shinji was about to say something, but Sasuke was faster. Hokage-sama, our team would like to request a higher ranked mission. We have completed more than enough missions to request one, and we are more than ready enough to do one, if our test indicated anything. Minato looked away from Naruto and to the others with a raised eyebrow. Is that so? Do you think so too, Shinji? The tall Jonin nodded while he looked over his team. Yes, Hokage-sama. Sasuke is right, we are ready for either a C or a B-ranked mission. Alright then. Minato grabbed a lonely sheet of paper and handed it to Shinji. Your mission will be to escort a rather famous archaeologist to the excavation site where he and his team are working on a huge discovery. Something about a lost library or something. In any case, it is quite the important mission. So don't fail, alright? Minato dismissed them with a wave. The members of Team 7 bowed slightly and left the room towards the Kodo tea house. Let's hurry, Shinji ordered. I'm itching for a smoke and it is not allowed in this building. Before they walked out of the office, Naruto looked over his shoulder at his father, who was reading the reports about the Kyuubi attack once again. The blonde shook his head sadly before he walked after the others. After a short walk, the team reached the tea house, where they finally would meet their client. The genin headed inside whilst Shinji waited outside to finish smoking. Alright. Naruto spoke up. Let's see if we can find our client. That, however, was done quite easily, as many guests of the tea house stood around a table looking at something. It was quite by chance actually that I stumbled upon this chart. I was browsing throughout the library to search for information upon my research when it suddenly fell out of this ancient book. I would guess it was written more than 300 years ago. At that point, Kaya, the waitress that usually got Team 7's orders, walked past them. Excuse me, Kaya-chan, but who is it that is surrounded by the other guests? Naruto asked the young woman politely. She smiled warmly at the genin, who by now had become regulars in the tea house. Oh, hello, Naruto. That is the famous archaeologist Rikishi Chitose. He has found something very important for his research, and now has requested Konoha's help into assisting him. Oh, so that is why you are here. Wait a moment, please. Kaya passed throughout the guests surrounding the archaeologist. Rikishi-sama, the team you requested has arrived. Please don't be fooled by their age. They are more skilled than many ninja twice as old, Kaya boasted, before gestured that the genin should come closer as the other guests at the tea house parted ways for them. Sitting at the table was a small old man with a tinted skin color and long white hair. He had a scruffy beard, but it were his deep gray eyes that surprised Naruto. Unlike many other old people he had met before, this man still held a certain spark in his eyes. The old man smiled warmly at the genin. Good to meet you three, come sit down with me. Do you want something to drink? Yes, but it will be on me. Shinji walked past the guests and sat down at the table. Greetings, Rikishi-sama, my name is Shinji Senju, and these are my genin pupils Sakura Marino, Sasuke Uchiha, and last but not least Naruto Uzumaki. Uzumaki? Why yes, you most certainly have several characteristics of the Uzumaki clan, now that you mention it. Rikishi contemplated whilst stroking his beard. Well then, my name is Rikishi Chitose, and as you probably already know, I am an archaeologist and your client. Now then, on to your mission. A few weeks ago I discovered an ancient map, one that will lead me to the archaeological discovery of the century. A lost world wonder, the lost library of Gaijutsu, which contains an unimaginable treasures of knowledge and lost ninja arts. Silence crept upon the tea house, before Rikishi continued. During the heights of Kusa, the library was one of the village's greatest secrets. Stories and rumors tells us that at one point the library contained more than 1,000 different jutsu and other scrolls of ninja knowledge, which should actually only be a small fraction of everything stored in the library. Now you can understand why the leaders of your village are so branded upon helping us find it. I have selected a team of several talented individuals and asked for both the help of Konoha and IWA, but so far only Konoha has accepted. Your mission will be to protect my team from harm and assist during the excavations. Do so and you will be richly rewarded. Shinji nodded. Very well, we will accept the mission. When do you want to leave? Rikishi thought for a bit. In about 1 hour? I need to gather some things before we can go, if that is okay with you and your genin, of course. Shinji stood up, followed by his students. Very well, we will meet at the North Gate in 1 hour. Team 7, follow me for the last instructions, before you begin your preparations. Once outside, the genin quickly stood next to each other while Shinji was pacing in front of them. Alright, all three of you know what you need to bring along with you for a longer-term mission. I want you to additionally take with you some extra radiation bars, several sealing scrolls, explosive seals, extra kunai and shuriken, and last but not least the copy of the bingo book I gave you last week. Are there any questions? Sasuke stepped forwards. Yes, the fact that Rikishi mentioned that he also contacted IWA worries me. We can be almost sure that they will make an appearance. Sakura nodded. Indeed, and if the rumored treasures is so high, we can also expect a knife in our back from them once we have found the library, or even if we don't find it, just to make sure that Konoha ends up a little weaker after this. Though I suggest we do the same, or they are willing to work together with us, and we share part of the knowledge with them. Naruto interrupted. We won't know what the IWA shinobi will do, if they even show up, so there is no point into pondering about it right now. But if they do arrive, their actions will be in reaction to our own behavior. So instead of immediately assuming they will cause problems, look at your own behavior, and do not do anything that will end up with IWA attacking us. During his talk, Naruto had moved so that he faced both Sasuke and Sakura. But Uzumaki IWA is well known to Sakura started. But Naruto held up his hand. That is stereotypical Sakura, and you are not looking at the bigger picture. Doing this mission successfully, while working together with IWA, will improve Konoha's relation with IWA, which will be very beneficial for us in the future. Naruto replied. You are not being realistic, Naruto. Sasuke countered. Once we have found the treasures and knowledge, IWA will try to take it all for themselves. That is what any hidden village will do in this situation, by risking revenge and war? Perhaps even a next shinobi world war? They must be royally stupid to kill any of us. Naruto snapped. Sasuke was about to retort, but Shinji interrupted him. Alright, that is enough. He barked. All three of you have made their points, but there is nothing we can do about it now, so go to your homes and finish your preparations. We will meet at the North Gate as we decided early, and once we get on our way, no more discussions and focus upon our mission. Understood? Yes, Shinji-sensei. The three genin replied before going their separate ways. Shinji looked at the sky. Sorry, Naruto, but according to my own experiences, Sakura and Sasuke are right with this one, though I do hope that this time you will have guessed it right. You might never know, this could be the beginning of new close alliance with IWA as far as we know, or the next shinobi war. It had been about a week since Team 7 and Rikishi had left for Kusa, and they were nearly at the excavation site. Along the way the genin had settled their dispute temporarily. Right now Sasuke and Sakura walked at the front, while Shinji walked at the back, leaving Naruto to walk next to the old archaeologist. And while they moved at a rather slow speed, as Rikishi couldn't walk very fast, the old man proved great company with his stories. Rikishi-sama, I must admit that I am curious about how Kusa gathered all this knowledge for the library? Naruto asked the old man. Rikishi laughed. So much about the minor ninja villages have become lost in the course of history. He coughed before he continued. According to the local legends, the library is headed by the spirit of a gigantic owl, who sends out his seekers of knowledge across the world to learn anything they can find. These followers are supposed to be dark spirits of nothingness, cloaked in black robes covering their invisible forms. Those dark spirits could summon many other spirits from the underworld to do their bidding. Naruto looked skeptical. Really, dark spirits and a giant owl? Rikishi nodded. In a sense, actually, yes. Remember, Naruto, in many myths is a form of truth. Let me explain. According to my research, the heads of the library all had signed the summoning contract with the owl summons, which explains the appearance of the giant owl. Next are the dark spirits. During the time of the warring clans, a certain clan from Kusa specialized into weaving black cloaks that would make the wearer of such a cloak invisible for any sensory ninja. It is my belief that these dark spirits were actually just special ninja or samurai who were employed by the library, and wore these cloaks as part of their equipment. With this information, it would be quite easy to deduce how much of the knowledge in the library was obtained. So Naruto, what do you think? Can you think of an answer now that you know this information? Naruto thought for a bit, but suddenly he snapped his fingers. Of course, there were ninja, who stole or spied to gather information for the library. That is how they gathered their knowledge. The samurai you mentioned were likely employed to defend the library, and since it is a library, there should have been scholars who also gathered and researched. Rikishi clapped. Correctly, but what do you make of the spirits from the underworld? Rubbing his chin, Naruto quickly came with the answer. Other summons perhaps? The old archaeologist clapped Naruto on his back. Once more correct, young man, say if you ever get tired of being a ninja, why don't you come work for me? The blonde laughed. No, I do not think so. After all, I will be the next Hokage after all. Behind them, Shinji coughed. Sorry to interrupt, but we should be nearby the base camp and excavation site. Rikishi-sama, could you lead us towards it? The archaeologist nodded and led Team 7 onto a small side road, which quickly disappeared into the foliage. Suddenly Naruto abruptly stopped, almost causing Sasuke to bump onto him. Naruto, what are you doing? Move already! Sasuke hissed. Rikishi-sama, in which direction is your camp? Naruto asked with a low voice. Rikishi pointed at the west. That way, why do you ask? Because I feel emotions of fear and anger coming from that direction. Naruto whispered. Shinji took command. Sakura, scout ahead and report to us what you find. Naruto and Sasuke, the two of you will stay with me and guard Rikishi-sama. The genin nodded, and Sakura disappeared from view. Naruto looked into the direction of the camp. Hurry up, Sakura. New feelings of despair also began to show up. While in her ethereal form, Sakura quickly ran towards the campsite. When she arrived, her eyes widened in surprise. The archaeologists were being attacked by 8 figures wearing dark cloaks. But what surprised her even more was the fact that some shinobi form IWA were actively defending the archaeologists. In the middle, 2 of the IWA ninja had made a barrier around some of the archaeologists and workers, protecting everyone inside of it. The other 3 tried to ward their attackers, but it was clear that they were being overwhelmed. 2 of the cloaked figures slammed their hands on the ground. Summoning jutsu. When the smoke cleared, it revealed 2 large black raven-like birds. The birds quickly flapped their wings and flew up high into the air, from which they began dropping some of their feathers. The feathers fell with high speed towards the ground. When they made contact with something, the feathers exploded. One of the 3 IWA ninja, he was rather tall and large, and Sakura could make out a large round nose, outside the barrier, quickly made some hand seals. Doton, Earth Golem Jutsu. From the large IWA shinobi's mouth, a large humanoid figure made of rocks was expelled. The golem began hurling stones and debris towards the birds, which they were forced to dodge, making it harder for the birds to bombard them with feathers. 2 other cloaked figures both drew a katana and ran towards the IWA ninja. A second member of the IWA ninja trio faced both incoming figures. The IWA ninja was a tall man with spiky brown hair and 2 prominent jaw lines. He charged towards the cloaked figures, but instead of directly engaging them, he punched the ground. Bakutan, landmine fist. The ground under his fist exploded and the figures were thrown off balance by the shockwave and upturned earth, giving the IWA ninja a chance get close to both of them. The man punched them both simultaneously. Bakutan, landmine fist. He called again. From his fist, 2 large explosions engulfed the figures and obliterated them. Suddenly a scream sounded over the campsite. Sakura's head snapped into the direction the sound came from. Her jaw almost felt open, and if possible her eyes widened even more. The last member of the IWA shinobi outside the barrier had cast some sort of jutsu that had covered a part of the camp with flowing lava, which had hit the 2 figures that had casted the summoning jutsu earlier and a third member of them. The ninja appeared to be around Sakura's own age and wore a white oni mask obscuring his or her face from view. 2 of the 3 remaining black figures used a water jutsu to harden the lava and charged towards the masked IWA ninja, who dodged both of them gracefully, before casting a doton jutsu which created several spikes impaling both figures. The oni masked ninja was light on her feet, and she seemingly almost danced as she moved towards the last figure, avoiding every jutsu that was thrown at her. Sakura shook her head. The masked ninja reminded her a little of Naruto. It seems that IWA had sent their own prodigy on this mission. He or she is good, very good. Some movement at the opposite side of the camp caught her attention. Enforcement for those black figures. I should head back and report the situation. Those IWA ninja won't last that much longer at this rate. The pink-haired girl quickly ran back to her teammates, and Sensei Shinji stroked his chin, while Sakura gave her report. Once she was done, he nodded. Thank you, Sakura. Rikishi-sama, your thoughts on this? Rikishi thought for a bit. It would seem that the library isn't as lost and abandoned as we thought it was. Those cloaked figures surely must be the seekers of knowledge. They most likely see us as a threat and are now trying to silence us. Meanwhile, Sasuke was browsing throughout the bingo book. Sakura, is this the man with the explosive punches? The Uchiha pointed at picture in the book. Sakura looked closely at the picture. I think so. His hair is the same as are those jawlines. Gari of the Bakutan, Jonin ranked shinobi from Iwagakure. High-ranking member of Iwa's explosive corps. Sasuke read. Extreme caution is to be taken whilst fighting against him. Alright, time to decide what we will do. Shinji spoke up. Will we help defending the archaeologists and workers, but leave Rikishi-sama here less guarded for a little while? Or do we keep quiet until the attack is over and risk the lives of those people, but keep our client fully guarded? I say we stay here. Sasuke spoke up. Our client's life is more important in this mission. His workers and the other archaeologists can be replaced with others. Sakura stood next to Sasuke. Agreed. Rikishi-sama is more important. Suddenly Rikishi kneeled in front of Team 7. Please save my team. I know that Konoha and IWA Ninja in general don't work together, but please help my team. Many of them are too young to die or have families waiting for them. I cannot live with the thought of abandoning them just to save my own old life. Shinji sighed and looked at Naruto, who was still looking into the direction of the fighting. What do you say, Naruto? Naruto turned around with a determined look on his face. I will help them. Uzumaki! Sakura snarled. It is our mission to protect Rikishi-sama. If you go help the IWA ninja, you will abandon your mission. It is as Sasuke said, the workers and archaeologists can be replaced, but Rikishi-sama cannot. Besides, who cares if IWA loses a few of their shinobi? Sasuke agreed with her, and the two of them began berating IWA. Naruto breathed out, shaking a little with anger. As they watched Naruto, a feeling of dread felt over Sasuke and Sakura. Naruto's eyes began to glow blue a little. You two are suggesting that we abandon innocent people? Even while our client has asked us to protect them? Just now and back in Konoha? Fine. Stay here and guard Rikishi-sama. But I will save those people. Both the archaeologist team and the IWA ninja. Naruto's voice had become heavy and demonic, and it sounded like it came from everywhere. Sasuke's legs gave out and he felt on the ground. The sheer pressure Naruto emitted was overwhelming. Looking to his left, the Uchiha heir saw that Sakura didn't do much better and lay on the ground shivering. Even Shinji clearly had trouble keeping his breath under control. Then in the blink of an eye, Naruto took off. The forest seemingly parted away for him. From his own position, Rikishi looked at the direction Naruto had disappeared to. JJN. Before he could finish his sentence, Shinji moved and knocked both Sakura and Sasuke out, with a small chop in their necks. The masked IWA Kanochi breathed harshly. She was the last one of her team capable of fighting still standing. Akatsuchi had been the first to lose consciousness when he was hit by one of the feathers. While he was alive, he was heavily wounded. Gari-sensei had been the second one to fall when one of those cloaked figures had hit him with a Raitenjutsu in his back. Next, one of the two inside the barrier had fallen unconscious to chakra exhaustion, leaving her and the other ninja, who was trying his hardest to keep the barrier up, only remained standing. Oni, what do we do? The IWA ninja inside the barrier yelled at her. Oni could only swallow hardly and look over her shoulder for a moment. The despair and fear in the faces of the archaeologists and workers was clear. Oni looked back at the attackers. By now there were 7 of the second group left. 2 of them had just summoned another 2 of those raven-like birds, and if practiced, the 7 figures began to charge towards her. How could have a seemingly simple mission gotten so out of hand? About a month ago, the famous archaeologist Rikishi had come to IWA and requested protection when he and his team were excavating and searching for a library which would contain many treasures and lost ninja knowledge. But sadly enough, the archaeologist had come at an unfortunate time during which the Tsuchikage was absent due to some trouble in the north of the Earth Country. The mission had been temporarily lost in the bureaucratic disaster that had happened during the Tsuchikage's absence. Rikishi had left before they had the change to accept the mission. Now 4 weeks later, one of Iwa's spies had found the location of Rikishi's base camp, and Oni's grandfather had sent her and a few others to check upon them and find out if they still had need for the protection. Originally it had only Bigari and his team, assisted by Akatsuchi. She had joined at her grandfather's insistence. The journey to the base camp had been without incident, but just as soon as they had arrived at the campsite, those dark cloaked figures had started their attacks. The 2 birds swooped down ready to attack. Oni closed her eyes and waited for the strike to happen, when a strange evil-feeling wind rushed over the campsite. The pressure that followed after was enough to make the archaeologists and the ninja inside the barrier pass out. Oni herself felt on her knees, unable to keep standing. From the forest at the side of the camp, a blond boy appeared. His eyes glowed bright blue and had an angry look in them. Oni could only stare at him. The boy jumped towards the attackers. The sheer pressure of chakra he sent out of his feet to launch himself caused the earth underneath his feet to shatter. In midair, the birds attacked the boy, who ripped off the sleeves of his shirt. From his hands 2 sticks seemed to grow, which the boy stabbed in the birds. Suddenly from those spikes several branches appeared to grow, skewering the birds. The boy landed on the ground right in front of her, with his back towards her. Oni blinked a few times. From behind, the boy looked a lot like Konoha's Hokage. The boy slapped his hands together. Mokutan, 2 branches jutsu. From the ground around the boy 2 wooden branches appeared. They began to attack the cloaked figures. While the figures were distracted by the branches, the blond boy ran towards the nearest cloaked figure. The figure drew his sword and slashed towards the boy, who grew another wooden spike and used it as a makeshift sword to block his opponent's one. To Oni's amazement, the boy began to overpower the cloaked figure and forced him away. The figure tried to jump backwards, but the boy threw the wooden spike, which impaled the man in his stomach before several branches grew from it, skewering the man just like the birds. Another figure managed to get away from the branches and ran towards the boy, his fist ready to beat the blonde. But said blonde just grabbed the fist of his attacker and crushed it with ease, before throwing the man away and hurling another wooden spike after him. During this, Oni caught a glimpse of the boy's forehead protector. Konoha, he looks a lot like the Yellow Flash, but he is too young to be him. Could it be that this boy is the Yellow Flash's son? Grandpa would want to know about this. Suddenly, right before Oni's eyes, 3 of the figures preformed in sneak attack on the blonde boy, stabbing him with their swords. The wind began suddenly blowing and Oni felt the anger from it spreading throughout her. She shivered. Last time she felt like this was when Rashi had used suddenly at a light bulb in her head went on. This eerie feeling, his seemingly unnatural strength, could he be a Jinchuriki? The one Konoha keeps desperately hidden, according to Grandpa? The blonde boy let out a blast of pure chakra that blew his attackers away, before he pulled out the swords that had pierced him, the wounds healing near instantly. During the healing the boy slowly became covered by a blue layer of chakra. Oni gasped for breath. The pressure was suddenly overwhelming, and she began to lose consciousness. The last thing she saw before it became black was a tall man with brown hair, who pulled some saban from one of his pouches. After making sure that Sakura, and Rikishi were hidden, Shinji had chased after Naruto. But as he ran after his blonde student, Shinji's thoughts wandered. Naruto a Jinchuriki, but that should be impossible. The fourth told us that the third Hokage sealed the Kyuubi inside himself by using his own soul as payment for the Shinigami. Unless Minato lied to everyone about such a big secret, but why would he do that? Shinji stopped once Urikta clearing. He decided that he would observe the situation first before acting. The camp, or what was left of it, had been built near the center of a small crater, with a small creek coming from the forest that ended at a small pond in the middle, which the camp was built around. Near the center of the camp a single IWA ninja kept up a barrier. He was obviously struggling to maintain it. Rikishi's team was also inside the barrier. Then in the front of the barrier stood a single IWA ninja facing several of those cloaked figures Sakura had reported about. The other IWA ninja were either dead or unconscious, though Shinji's attention was back on the IWA ninja outside the barrier. Just like Sakura described, it was slightly difficult to tell her gender from a distance, but Shinji, who had fought with female IWA kunoichi before, recognized the outfit and stance. She doesn't look wounded, just rather tired from keeping those figures away. If the bodies indicate anything curious, could she really be as good as Sasuke or Naruto even? Speaking of which, where is Naruto? Shinji's eyes flickered around searching for his student. I can still sense him a little. Is he preparing a sneak attack? Are the Bijou intelligent enough to do that? From the left side of the crater, Naruto suddenly shot out of the forest towards the cloaked figures. Shinji crossed his arms as he observed Naruto throwing around the Mokuton Jutsu as if they were a child's plaything, though much more effective and deadlier. Either the Bijou allows Naruto to access that leftover chakra from my granduncle, that he received by reading the Forbidden Scroll, or the Bijou itself enables Naruto to use the Mokuton. But that would mean that granduncle should have been a Jinchuriki too, or not. Our guy needs some answers, and I need them fast. Shinji shook his head to clear his thoughts. Right when Naruto was pierced by the swords and the brown-haired Jonin felt his student's anger in the wind, Shinji decided he had seen enough and jumped towards Naruto. He stood still near Oni-masked Kunoichi, who was about to pass out. Shinji reached into one of his pouches and grabbed a few of his senbon, just in case Naruto didn't recognize him, and decided to attack. By now his blonde student was covered by some sort of blue chakra shroud that resembled boiling liquid with bubbles or something close to it. Naruto had just killed the second last of the cloaked figures. Naruto? Shinji called. His voice was calm. Naruto, calm down please, try to control yourself. Naruto's head snapped in Shinji's direction. The angry wind blew again, just before he shot towards his sensei. Shinji cursed inwardly and sidestepped the incoming Naruto, who quickly turned around and attacked again. It had the same result as the previous time, however this time Naruto kept running towards the last of the cloaked figure, who calmly unseated a rather short katana from his back, before he got into his fighting stance. Shinji got the feeling that this figure was different from the others. He was proven right when the figure circled out of Naruto's way and quickly gave Naruto several deep gashes on his back, which quickly began healing. Naruto grew a sharp branch from his skin and he pulled it off, before engaging the figure in a sword fight. The figure easily blocked Naruto's makeshift sword, and always quickly returned the attack with a few quick slashes at the boy. Naruto attempted wide slash at the figure's middle, but the figure fell backwards. Using his free arm as a momentum, he twirled around, giving Naruto a deep gash across his chest, followed by a hard kick against the blonde's head. The figure did a backward somersault to get back on his feet. Naruto quickly began forming hand seals, a combination that Shinji knew well after reading about the jutsu his granduncle had possessed. Mokuton, naivety of a world of trees. Naruto slammed his hands on the ground, from which a forest began to grow. Soon the clearing was filled with several tall trees. The cloaked figure quickly began to jump towards the top of the trees, followed closely by Naruto. Shinji gave himself a smack against his cheek. What are you doing, Shinji? Your student needs help. The tall Jonin quickly began making his way to the top. Whilst moving, Shinji bit his stump and drew some blood before slapping his hand against the bark of the tree he was running on. Summoning jutsu. From the spot Shinji had slapped his hand, two small owls appeared. One was pure white with light blue eyes, while the other was gray with bright orange eyes. Teo, it want you to search for a group of people now hidden by the trees. They should be with some IWA ninja. Bring them to a safe distance, and then return to me. Shinji ordered the gray owl, who saluted with his right wing before flying off. Shinji focused on the remaining owl. Suki, I will need your help in this fight. The white owl nodded and landed on the top of Shinji's head. Very well, Shinji, I will assist you, as always. She spoke up. Shinji stroked her head. Thank you, Suki, now let's go. Once Shinji reached the top of the tree, his eyes spread in horror. Naruto lay on a branch, his entire body covered by deep gashes. The blue chakra cloak was slowly retreating. The figure stood a little higher but jumped down with his sword facing Naruto, intending to kill the boy. No! Shinji yelled as he threw a handful of samban at the figure. Meanwhile, back at the floor of the newly created forest, Oni opened her eyes. She blinked a few times before she could make out her surroundings. What has happened? Last thing I knew, that blonde guy was being covered by a chakra cloak, and then Oni shot right up when she remembered the events. She quickly crawled on her feet and began looking for her team and the workers. She breathed in relief when she found them. As she checked their pulses, she quickly discovered that each of the workers was still alive. However, Akatsuchi was wounded, and the two barrier ninja barely had any chakra left, and Gari-sensei. Wait, where is Gari-sensei? Oni began to look around, when she heard a groan. From behind a tree, Gari slowly walked towards her. Kuro, Oni, what has happened? He asked, struggling to keep his breathing steady. Oni quickly reported the situation. Just when she finished, a gray owl landed on top of her head. Greetings, IWA Ninja, my name is Teo. My summoner Shinji Senju has ordered me to lead you to a safe spot. Teo introduced himself. Gari's eyes narrowed. Shinji is here? He took a deep breath. Oni, take the others to a safe distance. I will go up and find out what is happening up there. Yes, Sensei, I will do as you have, Oni answered reluctantly. Then a small explosion shook the trees. From them the blonde boy dropped down. Gari caught him. The IWA Jonin looked at Oni. Take him also with you, and then get out of here. Oni nodded as her sensei began running along the tree to the battle. She focused her attention at Teo. Any idea how I will move all those people from here? The gray owl hooted. Easy, I will use my special futonjutsu on them, which will make it easy for us to transport them. And true to his word, Teo flew over the unconscious ones. Futon, lifting tailwind jutsu. It took some time before the jutsu was cast over all of them, but then it was done. Teo flapped with his wings and they began floating. Following Teo as he began to fly away, Oni quickly followed him. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a large explosion appeared that swallowed a huge part of the forest. Gari-sensei! Oni screamed in despair. Shinji breathed hardly, as he was now caught up in a three-way fight between the cloaked figure and Gari. The IWA Jonin glared and even growled at him. Clearly he has not forgotten our many fights during the war. Shinji mused. He grimaced when he touched his left arm. He has gotten stronger too. On his head, Suki hooted in agreement. Do not forget that cloaked man, Shinji. He is strong too. Shinji reached into one of the pouches on his back. From it he grabbed a handful of saban warped and supercharged explosive seals. Well, I ought to check up Naruto and my other genin, so I best warp this up. Jinton, sure, massive explosive killing. The saban shot towards the figure and Gari, who did a jutsu of his own. Bakutan, double landmine fist. Gari slammed his fist against each other, creating a huge explosion in front of him. This explosion, in combination with Shinji's explosive saban, combined to create one of such range that it swallowed a huge part of the forest Naruto had created. When the explosion was gone, the three men also had disappeared. The suddenly silence was broken by Oni's scream. Gari-sensei, what if Naruto has Uzumaki 9 genkai? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoyed this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel. And leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down, and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.